Chapter 839. Heavenly Lightning was also afraid. Sect Master. Those lightning clouds must be here for you. Well, get its attention. You'd better find a place to hide. Yuhai said worriedly. And Feng stood at the side, thinking to himself that these new subordinates of Miss Zhou were quite loyal. However, they did not know that their sect master was a monster in a small frame. In a while, their worldview would be completely changed. Yun Chuzhou waved her hand at Yuhai and the others. Don't worry. I'm about to break through. That little weak lightning can't do anything to me. All of you step back and stay far away from me so that you won't be hurt. What the hell? You're about to break through? What does your breakthrough have to do with the heavenly lightning? Also, what is a little weak lightning? Can the heavenly lightning be described as weak? Sect Master, you should be more careful. However, when Yuhai and the others saw that Yun Chujia's confident attitude, and that the two men with high spiritual power did not seem to care at all, they could only back off. Yun Chuzhou took out a handkerchief to tie up her hair and then said to Di Biming and Shui Wuji with a smile, Prince Charming, Brother Wuji, you guys wait for me over there too. After I've gotten rid of these weaklings, we can have a good chat. Both of them had seen Yun Chujia's abnormal performance before, so they retreated to the side without any objections. She was still fine even after being repeatedly struck in the ancient sword tomb. This bit of heavenly lightning was nothing at all. Yuhai and the others looked at the dark clouds in the sky and were a little puzzled. Those dark clouds were originally floating quite fast, but why were they now trembling on the spot and not moving forward? Yun Chuzhou was a little impatient from waiting. Hey! What's wrong? Time is money and time is life. Don't you feel ashamed wasting your time like this? Hurry up and strike me a few times. I'm a busy girl. Yuhai and the others were unable to express their feelings. They only had 5 words for Yun Chuzhou. You have a death wish. How could she ask to be struck by lightning in such a rush? Our sect master is seeking death by playing tricks on the heavens. When the dark clouds heard Yun Chujia's shout, they all gathered together while they trembled. When Yun Chuzhou saw that they were finally ready to start throwing a few bolts, she said with satisfaction, Not bad. Since you learned from your mistakes, you can work together as a large thundercloud. Come on. Strike. I'm ready. The dark clouds randomly struck the area around her, and then they abruptly scrambled to float away. Yun Chuzhou looked at the charred trees around her and then looked at the intact ground around her. She mumbled, Could it be that the eyes of this batch of wild heavenly lightning clouds are not very good? Why did they all go? If I had known this would happen, I would have taken the initiative to welcome them. It has been a long time since I was struck by lightning. I miss that numbing feeling. Yuhai and the others were dumbfounded. Their worldview had been shattered and rebuilt into something new. Damn, it seemed that not only were ghosts afraid of evildoers, but heavenly lightning was also afraid of evildoers. Our sect master only shouted a few words, but the heavenly thunder was so frightened that it could not strike her accurately. And Feng looked at Yuhai and the others sympathetically and thought to himself, This is just a taste. In the future, there will be many things about her that will scare you. Steal your little hearts. You are both lucky and unlucky at the same time for having such a sect master. Yun Chuzhou put away the handkerchief and then said with a smile, Prince Charming, Brother Wuji, it's noon now. Let's roast some meat and eat. Let's talk while eating. Yun Chuzhou had been craving roast meat for a long time, but she had been on tenterhooks these days. She was afraid that the people of the godly Devil Hall would take revenge on her, so she did not have the time to roast some. Now she finally had a chance to indulge herself. Chapter 840. Soul Shatter. Yun Chuzhou cheerfully ordered Feng and the others to roast the meat, while she excitedly told Di Biming and Shui Wuji about her experiences. The two of them were stunned when they heard what she went through recently. Thousands of spirit tools attacking the enchantment at the same time? Making an ally with the level 13 giant tsunami turtle? Killing 2 level 13 bloodthirsty sword shark? Annihilating the Yongxing Trading Company? Incited a level 13 illusionary electric eel? Killed dozens of silver-masked emissaries from the godly demon temple? And Feng was busy barbecuing meat, but after hearing most of it, he was filled with admiration for Yun Chuzhou. I told you, why are you afraid of others bullying Miss Zhou? It's already a miracle that she doesn't bully others. Even a level 13 sea beast wasn't a match for Miss Zhou. Who would dare to provoke such a strong woman? Prince Charming, why do you think those silver-masked men suddenly died? I've checked their corpses, they didn't commit suicide by taking poison. Yun Chujo asked in confusion. Little Jiao, take out one of their corpses. I'll take a look. Di Biming said in a deep voice. Xue Wuji curled his lips. Little Jiao, you think too highly of him. You're so smart, but you still couldn't find the cause. What makes you think he will? It's a waste of your time. Yun Chujo thought that Di Biming would turn hostile when she heard Xue Wuji talking about Di Biming. She did not expect Di Biming to act as if he did not hear him. He did not even look at Xue Wuji. Yun Chujo looked at Xue Wuji and then looked at Di Biming. She was puzzled. What had happened in the past few months? Why was the pretty boy so patient with Black Chicken Head? After Di Biming examined the corpse of a silver-masked man, he pondered for a moment and said, Ren Lizzie once said that after the silver-masked man died, the higher-ups would immediately know who killed them, right? Yun Chujo nodded. That's right. I don't think he is lying. I once read in an old book that in ancient times, there was a secret technique called soul shatter. Back then, the gold-masked man must have left a mark in the silver-masked man's psyche. Therefore, the gold-masked man could use a special method to see through the eyes of the silver-masked man before he died. However, if the gold-masked man used a secret technique to activate the mark, it could cause the silver-masked man's soul to shatter and die. Di Biming frowned. This godly devil hall knew about ancient arrays and ancient secret arts. They must be powerful. Xue Wuji did not expect Di Biming to come up with that conclusion. He rubbed his nose awkwardly and said, You're just guessing. It might not be the case. The ancient secret arts have been lost after all. How would they know about it? Brother Wuji, what the Prince Charming said should be right. The godly devil hall is strange. The golden masked man used their secret arts twice. Each time a huge spider lily would manifest. One time it transformed into thousands of poisonous arrows. Although I tried my best to dodge, I was still stabbed in the thigh. The second time when he ran away, he just disappeared into thin air. Your leg is injured? Let me see. Di Biming automatically ignored the rest of the information. His entire attention was on Yun Chujia's leg. Di Biming, are you shameless? Little Sister Jo's leg is injured, what are you looking at? Besides, if you didn't see little Sister Ju jumping around, she would have recovered a long time ago. Don't take advantage of little Sister Jo. Xue Wuji cursed when he saw Di Biming staring at Yun Chujia's leg. Di Biming could not take it anymore. And he looked at Xue Wuji coldly. Xue Wuji, I've tolerated you for a few months, and this is the first and last time I'm warning you. If you dare to speak rudely to me again, I'll teach you a lesson. Chapter 841. Xue Wuji complaining. Xue Wuji saw that Di Biming was angry. He feared for his safety. He muttered, I'm not wrong, am I? How can I let you ogle at little Sister Jo's leg just like that? Yun Chujo quickly put out the fire and said with a smile, Prince Charming, I'm already fine. I'll be okay after eating some pills. Don't be angry. Let's eat some roasted meat. I'm dying of hunger. Di Biming then snorted coldly and sat down. Yun Chujo was afraid that the two of them would start arguing again and quickly changed the topic. That Ren Lizzie also said that their master is absurdly strong. He said that he's even more powerful than the mighty figures in the Tianyuan continent. I don't think he's bragging, but if that dogshit master is so powerful, why didn't he personally look for the eye of the earth? To regain his face, Xue Wuji said, Little Sister Jo, you may not know this, but although that master is powerful, his spiritual power might be suppressed while in the Azure Mystic continent. Moreover, a person's energy is limited. No matter how powerful he is, he can't go around everywhere looking for the eye of the earth. Naturally, he wants to preserve his power, so it's more practical to let his subordinates do the hard work. It's also possible that for some reason, that master can't come to the Azure Mystic continent at all, Di Biming added. Yun Chujo sighed. Perhaps the godly devil hall has already planted spies in the 4 great sections. Ren Lizzie also said that there was a big plan recently. I don't know what kind of plan it is, but I have a feeling that a storm is coming. Little Sister Jo, you don't have to worry. I will protect you. I am not like some people who will only watch you fall into a deep pit without saving you. Xue Wuji obviously had a memory problem. Although he was just told off by Di Biming, he still blurted out something offensive. After finishing his words, he also felt a little guilty. He said with a fierce expression, "Di Biming, am telling the truth. You won't even let me tell the truth, right?" "You're right. I'm useless. Little Jiu, don't worry. From now on I will work harder in my cultivation. I won't let that happen again," Di Biming said in a low voice. He looked at Yun Chuzhou with a determined gaze. Yun Chuzhou nodded. "Yes, my Prince Charming. I believe in you." When Xue Wuji saw that Di Biming and Yun Chuzhou gazed at each other lovingly, his heart felt sour as if it had been soaked in vinegar. He rolled his eyes and said, "Little Jiu, the meat is ready." Sure enough, Yun Chujia's attention immediately shifted from Di Biming to the fragrant roasted meat. "Prince Charming, Brother Wuji, it's time to eat. I've been living in the wild these few days and had never eaten a decent meal. Today I can finally indulge myself." Yun Chuzhou wiped off her saliva and said. Di Biming's eyes flashed with a trace of pity. He took out a square table from his storage ring and placed a lot of Yun Chujia's favorite food on it. The foodie and Yun Chuzhou immediately beamed with joy. "Prince Charming, you know me well. These are all my favorite foods. When I was trapped inside the enchantment, other than thinking about you, I only thought about these delicacies." Di Biming didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It seemed that his status was only slightly higher than the delicacies on the table. After everyone finished eating and drinking, they summoned their flying spirit tools and prepared to return to the Spirit Radiance sect. Yun Chuzhou and Di Biming would naturally travel together in a flying spirit tool. Yet Xue Wuji shamelessly insisted on going with them. Although Di Biming wanted nothing more than to slap him to death, he could not stop Xue Wuji from complaining. "Di Biming, if I hadn't been encouraging you for the past 4 months, would you have been able to endure it? I took the risk of being slapped to death by you and encouraged you all day long. It wasn't easy for me too. Yet I can't even hitch a ride?" Chapter 842. A beautiful and graceful young lady secret agent Hua Hua sighed in her heart. "Young master, why are you doing this? As the saying goes, out of sight, out of mind. Could it be that you have a masochistic streak? Do you have to watch the two of them make out with each other and then come back howling in sadness?" In the end, secret agent Hua Hua and Enfeng boarded Di Biming's flying spirit tool. Yu Hai and the others piloted another flying spirit tool and flew towards the Spirit Radiance sect. Yun Chuzhou felt that with Di Biming by her side, she immediately felt at ease. She had a good meal and slept soundly. "Prince Charming, Brother Wuji, wait for me in the cockpit. I'm going to take a shower. I've been using the cleaning spell for such a long time. It's uncomfortable to not take a proper shower after such a long time," said Yun Chuzhou as she felt that a proper shower was overdue after her recent adventures. Xue Wuji was fine, but Di Biming's ears turned red. When he thought of the previous incident, his heart started to beat violently. He kept telling himself not to think about it, but the scene from that time kept appearing. Xue Wuji's eyes flashed. "Di Biming, what are you thinking about? Don't tell me you just had some bad thoughts about little sister Jiu? What are you talking about?" "I was thinking about the godly devil Hall." The romantic thoughts in Di Biming's mind instantly dissipated. "Humph! You can't lie to me. Then tell me, what exactly about the godly devil Hall are you thinking of?" Xue Wuji curled his lips and asked. According to what Ren Lizzie said, the master's spiritual power is so high that the eye of the earth in the Azure Mystic continent might not be enough to satisfy his appetite. "Do you think his hand has already extended to the Black Sky continent?" Di Biming said with a serious expression. "This shouldn't be possible, right? Those pills that could increase spiritual power rapidly were not very useful to the cultivators in Black Sky continent. If there were no pills to bribe them with, he would not have any other tool to persuade the cultivators there. Besides, we are not to be trifled with. Who would dare to play such tricks under our noses?" Xue Wuji said with great confidence. "The Eastern continent is indeed under our control, but the Western continent and the 10,000-year frozen wilds are not. Perhaps he has already started his operation there," Di Biming said with a slight frown. Xue Wuji was stunned for a moment. He thought for a moment and said, Although the Western continent and the 10,000-year frozen wilds are not under our control, the weather there is terrible and high-level demon beasts run rampant. There is a limit to how much one can develop their forces there. At most, we can send people to scout the area. Beiming nodded. Although the Hall of Longevity and Demon Blood sect usually fought each other, if the safety of the Black Sky continent was involved, the overall situation would naturally be more important. As the two of them were talking, Yun Chuju jumped out from inside. Prince Charming, Brother Wuji. What are you talking so excitedly about? Beiming and Xue Wuji raised their heads and were instantly stunned. Standing in front of them was a beautiful and graceful young lady. Although her body had not fully grown, there was already a slight curve on her body. Her fair skin was as delicate as jade, and her facial features were exquisite as carved from marble. A pair of eyes were looking at them mischievously. Little Sister Jiao? Are you really Little Sister Jiao? Xue Wuji blurted out in disbelief. Although Yun Chuju could be considered a little beauty before, there was still a gap between her and the young lady in front of him at that time. Beiming stood in front of Xue Wuji and said, Little Jiao, I think it's more convenient for you to wear men's clothes. Beiming, are you blind? Little Sister Jiao looks so good in women's clothes. Little Sister Jiao, you are the most beautiful girl I have ever seen. You're just like a little fairy. Xue Wuji said flatteringly. Chapter 843. The treasure of the Yun family. Yun Chuju did not look at herself in the mirror after taking a shower. After hearing what Xue Wuji said, she immediately took out a mirror. Then she touched the mirror with her hand in disbelief. She exclaimed, Damn! Is this beauty in the mirror really me? I finally understand what it means to be able to topple a city with one look and then a country with another. Ha ha ha! I, Yun Chuju, have finally turned from a sparrow into a phoenix. I was still a black sparrow back then. Xue Wuji rubbed his chin. Alright, she was originally very beautiful. But after Little Sister Jiao showed off, some of the charms had faded. A true beauty still depended on her temperament. Yun Chuju stood in front of the mirror and admired herself for an hour. She exhausted all the words about beauty in her vocabulary describing herself before she put away the mirror contentedly. To show off, she intentionally let the flying spirit tool land on wide empty space. She circled around in front of Yu Hai and the others, and as she intended, she saw the faces of her dumbfounded subordinates. Only then did get on the flying spirit tool. Yu Hai and the others did not regain their senses until they boarded their own flying spirit tool. Damn it, our sect master is actually so beautiful. This god is really unfair. Not only is our sect master's spiritual power abnormal, but she is also so beautiful. Life is so unfair to us. The thing that Yun Chuju was suddenly most obsessed with while on the way was to look in the mirror. As she looked in the mirror, she would start to mumble to herself as if she was possessed. And Feng secretly criticized her. The current state of the ninth miss was like a poor person who had suddenly become rich. It would probably take some time for her to get used to her beauty. However, the ninth miss appearance had indeed become more and more beautiful. She was comparable now to the famous beauties in the Tianyuan continent. A month later, everyone finally arrived near the Spirit Radiance sect. Yun Chuju did not return to the Spirit Radiance sect immediately. Instead, she took a detour to Spirit Radiance City. Firstly, she wanted to visit Yun Xiaotian. Secondly, she wanted to settle Yu Hai and the others somewhere. Yun Xiaotian had not known about the news of Yun Chuju's accident. Yun Chuju also told everyone not to mention it. Grandfather, do you think I've become more beautiful? The first thing Yun Chuju did when she saw Yun Xiaotian was to show off her appearance. Yun Xiaotian nodded. Your general appearance hasn't changed much. But your skin has become whiter, and facial features have become more exquisite. In grandfather's heart, little Jiao has always been a beautiful little fairy. Grandfather's taste is still the best. I was born with natural beauty. Yun Chuju's eyelashes immediately beamed with joy. She grabbed Yun Xiaoshan's arm and hopped into the room. And Feng gave Yun Xiaotian a salute in his heart. The older the ginger, the spicier it is. Look at how good old Master Yun is at sweet-talking. We still have a lot to learn from him. After everyone had their lunch, Yun Xiaotian said to Yun Chuju, Little Jiao, come to my study. Grandfather has something to tell you. Yoon Chujia's heart sank when she saw Yoon Xiaoshen's serious expression. Did something happen? Grandfather, what do you want to talk to me about? Yoon Chujio asked impatiently after entering the study. Yoon Xiaotian sighed. Little Jiu, grandfather is not senile yet. Tell me honestly, did you run into danger again? Yoon Chujio laughed dryly. Grandfather, I kept quiet because I was afraid that you would be worried. Besides, I'm still alive and kicking now. Isn't everything fine? Sigh. In the end, grandfather is useless and can't protect you. Yoon Xiaotian sighed deeply. Grandfather, how can you think like that? Little Jiu was naughty and stupid in the past. If it weren't for grandfather protecting me, I might not have been in such a miserable state. Now that I'm more powerful, it will be little Jiu protecting you in the future. Yoon Chujio said with a serious face. Yoon Xiaotian gritted his teeth and seemed to have made up his mind. Then he said, Little Jiu, grandfather has something to give you. Yoon Chujio blinked her eyes and suddenly remembered that when she had just transmigrated, she had overheard her grandfather and housekeeper Ji saying that the Yoon family seemed to have some secret treasure. Could it be that grandfather wanted to give that treasure to me? Yoon Xiaotian took out a cloth bag from his storage ring and opened it with trembling hands. Inside was another cloth bag. When he opened it again, there was yet another cloth bag. Chapter 844. A black bead. Yoon Chujio watched helplessly as Yoon Xiaotian opened up a total of 8 layers of cloth, and inside it was a dim broken black bead. Yoon Chujio was instantly discouraged. This broken bead did not have the slightest fluctuation of spiritual power. What kind of treasure was this? Moreover, even if it was really a treasure, it should have been passed to her 4th brother or 5th sister, but not to her. Little Jiu, this bead is the family heirloom of our Yoon family. Today, grandfather will give it to you. Don't look at it as something ordinary. Your great-grandfather once told me that this bead is the key to a big secret. It must not fall into the hands of others. Yoon Xiaotian said solemnly. Grandfather, you'd better give this bead to uncle. Or you can give it to 4th brother and 5th sister. They are older than me, so shouldn't it be given to them? Although Yoon Chujio was greedy, she still knew what to do and what not to do. Yoon Xiaotian shook his head. When your great-grandfather gave it to me, he also said that this bead would only recognize the Yoon family's bloodline. However, all of us, including your father, tried to make this bead recognize its owner, but there was no reaction after our blood was dripped on it. Grandfather has been feeling uneasy recently, and I always feel that something big is about to happen. After thinking about it, grandfather can only be at ease if I give this bead to you. If something happens to grandfather, you can find the right time to hand the bead over to your uncle or Chu Si. Pooey, pooey, pooey. What you said just now doesn't count. Grandfather, why are you saying such morbid things? No matter what happens, little Jiu will protect you. Yoon Chujio said angrily. Yoon Xiaotian sighed. Silly child, grandfather is just afraid of what might happen. Grandfather has caused you a lot of trouble. Who knows, this bead might end up attracting more trouble in the future. However, after thinking about it, I realize that only you can protect this bead. Grandfather has let you down. Yoon Xiaotian had also struggled for a long time, but recently, he had felt increasingly uneasy. After thinking about it, he decided to bite the bullet and hand the bead over to Yoon Chujio. Yoon Chujio saw that Yoon Xiaotian did not seem to be making excuses. She could only take the bead and say, Grandfather, don't worry. I will take good care of this. When you change your mind one day, I will return it to you. Fortunately, only the Yoon family's bloodline can activate this bead. Otherwise, I might be greedy and take it for myself. Yoon Xiaotian knew that Yoon Chujio was deliberately interrupting him to cheer him up, so he stroked his beard and said, You greedy little monkey. Were it was not for this reason, would grandfather dare to hand this bead to you? Grandfather, does this thing really only recognize the bloodline of the Yoon family? Yoon Chujio asked curiously. Of course. When your great-grandfather gave it to me, he specifically said that only the blood of the Yoon family could unlock the secret of this bead. Somewhere along the way, this bead was once seized by others, but they could not do a single thing with it. If you don't believe it, just try it, Yoon Xiaotian said with a smile. How can there be a treasure that only recognizes specific bloodlines? I don't believe it. Grandfather, I'm giving it a go. Don't blame me if it is really activated. Yun Chujo saw that although Yun Xiaotian was smiling, there was still a hint of melancholy between his brows. She was ready to play tricks on him to make Yun Xiaotian laugh. Yun Xiaotian was indeed amused by Yun Chuji's greed. You greedy little monkey, just try it then. If it really recognizes you as its master, grandfather will give this bead to you. Anyway, you are a member of the Yun family. If it weren't for your bloodline, grandfather would have wanted you to try it long ago. Chapter 845. The damned black bead. Yun Chujo bit her index finger and dropped a single drop of her blood on the bead to entertain her grandfather. As expected, the bead did not show any reaction. Yun Chujo said with a smile, "Grandfather, what you said made sense. This thing is indeed." Before Yun Chujo could finish her words, the bead was firmly attached itself to Yun Chuji's index finger and kept sucking on Yun Chuji's blood. Grandfather, what's going on? This is a blood-sucking monster. Damn bead, get off. Yun Chujo used her left hand to pull at the bead, but had latched on tight to her right index finger and would not budge. Yun Xiaotian was also shocked. He had never expected such a situation. He quickly helped Yun Chujo in trying to pull it off, but he did not dare to use too much force, afraid that he would hurt Yun Chuji's finger. Yun Xiaotian no longer cared about whether it was an heirloom or not. "Xiaozhou, put your hand on the table. Grandfather will smash this bead." Yun Chuji's heart warmed. She knew the meaning of this bead to the Yun family. She gritted her teeth. "Grandfather, if you really can't do it, use a dagger to chop off a part of my finger." "Nonsense. No matter how precious this bead is, it's just an inanimate object. It's not as important as you are," Yun Xiaotian said as he found a small hammer from his storage ring and swung it at the black bead. Unexpectedly, after smashing it, nothing happened to the black bead, but the hammer was shaken until several cracks appeared on it. Yun Xiaotian was instantly dumbfounded. Now he did not care about keeping it a secret anymore. He raised his head and shouted at Di Baiming, "Baiming! Baiming! Get in here quickly, something happened to little Jiu." When Di Baiming heard Yun Xiaoshan's anxious cry, he was immediately scared out of his wits. He hurriedly rushed into Yun Xiaoshan's study. "Whoa, Prince Charming, this damn bead wants to suck out all my blood. Think of a way to get it off. If nothing works, just chop off a part of my finger. Wah! I finally turned into a peerless beauty, but am about to lose a part of my finger. My life is so bitter." Yun Chujo cried loudly. "Little Jiu, don't be anxious. There must be some way to get it off." Di Baiming comforted Yun Chujo while pulling at the black bead. Di Baiming tried several times but failed to remove it. It was as if the black bead was a part of Yun Chuji's finger now, and could not be separated at all. Di Baiming saw that Yun Chuji's face was getting paler and paler. He gritted his teeth. "Little Jiu, the only way is to cut off this part of your finger. Otherwise you will die of blood loss. Don't worry, I will a regeneration pill for you from my master. I will make sure that your finger will grow back just as it was before." Yun Chujo nodded and said, "My Prince Charming, do it. It's better to be quick than to be in pain for a long time. After I remove this black bead, I will use lightning to strike it to death." Yun Chuji's eyes lit up when she said this. "Why don't I try using my lightning against this black bead? It might work." Yun Chujo waved her left hand at the black bead and released a purple lightning bolt. What everyone did not expect happened. The purple lightning bolt was actually absorbed by the black bead. When Yun Chujo saw that the black bead had a reaction, she quickly threw out another bolt of lightning towards the black bead. As expected, the black bead once again absorbed the purple lightning bolt into its body. At the same time, Yun Chujo felt that although the black bead was still firmly attached to her hand, it was no longer sucking her blood. Yun Chujo was delighted and quickly waved her left hand towards the black bead. The black bead seemed to have been hungry for a long time and absorbed all the heavenly purple lightning that was thrown at it. Chapter 846. Was little Jiu my biological granddaughter? Yun Chujo rolled her eyes and came up with an idea. When she threw the purple lightning bolt again, she deliberately made through it at a slightly crooked angle. As expected, she felt that the black bead had loosened its grip on her finger. Yoon Chujio was ecstatic in her heart, but she did not show it on her face. She continued to throw lightning bolts at the black bead with lightning, but she deliberately threw it at increasingly different angles and felt the black bead's grip getting looser. Finally, after Yoon Chujio threw another lightning bolt, the black bead completely let go of Yoon Chujio's finger and flew towards the lightning bolt to swallow it up. The first thing Yoon Chujio did was to wrap her right hand with a cloth. She then took out a large kitchen knife and slashed at the black bead. She was furious. As she slashed, she cursed, "You bastard! You actually want to suck my blood. I'll chop you to death. You like to eat my little lightning bolts, huh? I'll let you eat your fill once I chop you into 360 pieces." The black bead did not move at all and allowed Yoon Chujio to slash at it. It was as if the blood-sucking and lightning-devouring were all just an illusion. Yoon Chujio held the large kitchen knife and slashed it for a while. Only then did she calm down. She looked down and saw that the black bead was unharmed. The large kitchen knife did not change either. It seemed that she had exerted herself in vain. "Grandfather, this black bead is too strange. You should keep it." "If I keep it, I'm afraid I'll die of blood loss one day. Why don't you just throw it into the river?" "I don't think it's useful at all," Yoon Chujio said angrily. Yoon Xiaotian also did not expect the black bead to cause such a commotion. However, they said that this black bead could only be activated by the Yoon family bloodline, so why did it react to little Joe's blood? No matter the reason, it was a Yoon family heirloom, so it definitely could not be thrown away. It was better to put it away somewhere out of reach. Thinking of this, Yoon Xiaotian used his spiritual sense to try to put the black bead into his storage ring, but found that it would not go back inside. Yoon Xiaotian was dumbfounded. It would not go back into his storage ring? What was the meaning of that? Had it meant that the black bead had recognized its master? Little Joe, this black bead has probably recognized you as its master," Yoon Xiaotian said with a confused look. Even he felt that it was very strange. His family had always said that only the Yoon family bloodline could do such a thing. Could it be that the ancestors were lying to him? "Grandfather, what did you say?" Yoon Xiaotian was already confused, and Yoon Chujio even more so. Grandfather tried to put it into the storage ring, but it wouldn't go in. "That means it recognized you as its master." "What? This bastard recognized me as its master? Grandfather, are you kidding? Didn't you say that only the Yoon family's bloodline can activate this black bead?" Yoon Xiaotian coughed dryly. That was the information that was passed down from the ancestors. But the reality right in front of us now says otherwise. Not only did it suck your blood, but now I can't even keep it in my storage ring. This means that it has already recognized you as its master. Even if it recognized me as its master, I wouldn't want this blood-sucking pearl. Grandfather, you can put it anywhere you want. I don't want it. "Oh right, Grandfather, I thought of a very crucial question. Do you think I'm an illegitimate daughter? When my father went on a journey to train himself, he accidentally conceived me with my mother. He was afraid that you would be angry, so he pretended to have found me while on a mountain. Grandfather, I might be your biological granddaughter." "This is impossible. Your father is a clean person, why would he lie to me?" Yoon Xiaotian retorted unhappily. "Grandfather, but the ancestors of the Yoon family can't lie, right? Since this black bead cannot recognize an outsider as its master, yet it recognized me as its master now, which means that I am a member of the Yoon family. Or am I actually eldest uncle's biological daughter? Eldest uncle was afraid that eldest aunt would be angry, so he asked my father and mother to adopt me?" Yoon Xiaotian felt that his old heart was about to collapse. Although he felt that it was ridiculous, how could he explain what was happening in front of him now? Could it be that little Jo was really his biological granddaughter? Chapter 847 established a tripartite. This little Jo, perhaps your great-grandfather has misremembered something. Your uncle and your father are not the kinds of people to abandon their wives and children. Yun Xiaoshen's old face flushed red. Could it be Chang Xian or Chang Qing? No, those two had always been clean and pure. How could they do something like abandoning their wives and children? Yun Chujo pouted. Grandfather, is it possible that I'm the descendant of you or great-grandfather? Little Jiao. How dare you? Yun Xiaotian was so angry that he couldn't care less about the presence of outsiders. He took off his shoes and was about to beat Yun Chujo up. You little bastard. I thought you had changed, but you're still as stubborn as ever. Baiming, get out of the way, I must teach her a lesson today. Yun Xiaoshan's old face was flushed red. It was obvious that he was really angry. Little Jiao, you should be careful about what you say. Why aren't you apologizing to Senior Yun? Although Di Baiming said it very seriously, he had unintentionally blocked Yun Chujia's small body. Yun Chujo hid behind Di Baiming and poked her little head out. Grandfather, I was just asking. Why are you so agitated? If it's not true, then it's not. How do you think I made this broken bead recognize me as its master? How would I know? Maybe this broken bead is also equally eccentric. You two have that in common. Yun Xiaotian was obviously very angry. Hey, grandfather, don't be angry. You adults don't remember the past, but grandfather is very broad-minded. What I said just now was just a hypothesis. Our Yun family is upright. How could we do something like abandoning our wives and children? I'm just spouting nonsense. It might be a side effect of losing too much blood. My head is a little dizzy. Yun Chujo covered her head. Then she leaned on Di Baiming, looking weak. Seeing Yun Chujia's weak appearance, Yun Xiaoshan's anger simmered down. He quickly asked, Little Jiao, are you alright? Do you need anything? Quickly eat some blood-nourishing pills. Di Baiming helped Yun Chujo sit down on a chair where she rested for a short while. She stole a glance at Yun Xiaotian and saw that his anger had subsided. Only then did she weakly say, Grandfather, there is another possibility. Perhaps my ancestor is also a member of the Yun family but from another branch. After a long time, he has become unfamiliar with our branch. Perhaps thousands of years ago or tens of thousands of years ago, we shared one ancestor. Yun Xiaotian nodded. This explanation is more reliable. This would explain why you were able to make the black bead recognize you as its master. So what do you plan to do with this black bead? This is a harmful thing. I'm going to break the contract with it. I don't want this blood-sucking bastard. Yun Chujo stared at the black bead on the ground and said fiercely. Yun Chujo had just finished her sentence when, before anyone could react, the black bead suddenly flew up and directly disappeared into Yun Chujia's forehead. Fuck! Get out of there! Yun Chujo did not pretend to be weak this time. She jumped up from the chair and lowered her head, shaking it vigorously. Little Jiao, it's useless for you to shake like that. You need to use your spiritual sense to break the contract. Di Baiming rubbed his forehead. Could it be that this person had become beautiful at the expense of her intelligence? Yun Chujo then used her spiritual sense to look inside. Then she sat on the ground and howled, Woo! That damned black bead actually went into my dantian. Originally it was the strange grass who was the dominant one. Then it was the great void mirror and the strange grass who each occupied half the space. Now another occupier has arrived. Fuck, they've established a tripartite. Was that old bastard Tian Dao going to play his hand again? Yun Chujo walked to the door and took a look outside. Indeed, dark clouds were gathering in the distance. From the looks of it, there was a sizable amount of them. Yun Chujo rolled her eyes. Grandfather, I suddenly remembered something very, very important. I'm going back to the Spirit Radiance sect. I'll come back to see you in a few days. The people I brought back are my subordinates. They'll be staying in our Yun mansion for the time being. Please help them settle down. Seeing that Yun Chujo did not seem to be lying, Yun Xiaotian hurriedly said, Then hurry up and go. Leave the matter of settling them to grandfather. You don't have to worry about it. Yun Chujo nodded. Prince Charming, call Brother Wuji. Well, return to the Spirit Radiance sect immediately. Di Baiming saw the gathering dark clouds and understood Yun Chujia's intentions. He asked Feng to go to the living room to inform Shui Wuji and his servant. The five of them then quickly left for Spirit Radiance City. Chapter 849. The new Wu Yun Force. Little sister Jiu, are you alright? Why did old Master Yun call for debeaming just now? Although Shui Wuji acts recklessly, he was very respectful of Yun Xiaotian. If Yun Xiaotian did not call for him, he would not dare to enter the study room to find out what was happening. Yun Chujo paused for a moment. After thinking for a while, she said honestly, there was a black bead caught us off guard since it sucked my blood. I ended up taking it with me, so there's no big deal. However, from the looks of it, that old bastard Tiandao seems to be looking for trouble. So I plan to find an empty space to avoid dragging the Yun mansion into this and turning it into ruins. Miss Jiu, Longping Mountain is about 300 li away from Spirit Radiant City. There aren't many people there, so why don't we go there? And Feng suggested. Longping Mountain? Isn't that the place where the people who hired the League of Assassins to kill me said they would deliver the goods? Yun Chujo asked. Yes, that's the place. Back then when I brought people there, I found that although the mountains were endless, there were very few demonic beasts. No cultivators passed by there. Even if there was a big commotion there, no innocent people would be hurt, and Feng answered. Okay, let's go there. 300 li might be a long distance for ordinary people, but it was only an hour's journey for cultivators. The 5 of them sped up and rushed toward Longping Mountain. Behind the 5 of them, a large patch of dark clouds tailed them closely. It was different from the dark clouds when Yun Chujo first advanced some time ago. This time the dark clouds were full of momentum, and it seemed like they stopped at nothing until they killed Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo cursed in her heart. Could it be that those old dark clouds were all taken care of by her? So where did that old bastard Tiandao get this new Wu Yun force? Humph! Even if another group comes along, I'll take care of them. I'm not the Thunder Sect's master for nothing. An hour later, the 5 of them arrived at Longping Mountain. It was just as Feng had said. Although the mountains here were undulating and there were many spiritual plants, there were very few demonic beasts, let alone humans. Yun Chujo nodded. This place was quite suitable. Even if there were fighting here for a few hours, no innocents would be harmed. Prince Charming, Brother Wu Ji, stay away from me so that I won't accidentally hurt you. This time, I think that old bastard Tiandao is serious about coming after me. Yun Chujo said to debeaming and Shui Wuji as she looked up at the thick clouds. Debeaming and Shui Wuji gave Yun Chujo a few instructions. And Feng and secret agent Hua Hua retreated a few thousand feet away. They did not have Yun Chuji's abnormal talent, so it was safer to stay away. Yun Chujo wrapped her hair with a handkerchief to prevent herself from being struck bald again. Then, she said to the 3 occupiers in her dantian, strange grass, little mirror, glass ball. The 3 of you should contribute something. If I don't make it out alive, none of you will either. The 3 squatters in her dantian looked at each other. Each of their names was weirder than the other. Their host's naming skills were terrible to the extreme. The 3 trembled in response to Yun Chuji's words. Yun Chujo thought to herself, that glass ball agreed so readily. I wonder if it will be helpful later? Master, I haven't absorbed the power of lightning for a long time. Let me out. It'll help you absorb a few bolts, Little Blackbird said with his spiritual sense. Yun Chujo thought for a moment. It was true that Little Blackbird had not come out for a long time and was struck by lightning. It was time to let it enjoy itself for a bit. The flaming 3-tailed fox king looked at Little Blackbird with a dumbfounded expression. Boss, can you still absorb lightning? Little Blackbird had a smug look as he replied. Although I can't compare to our abnormal master, I can still absorb dozens of heavenly lightning bolts. Chapter 850. Am not full yet, the flaming 3-tailed fox king said obsequiously. Boss is indeed mighty. Ever since Little Blackbird helped the flaming 3-tailed fox king take care of Lu Lianxin, who wanted to skin it, the flaming 3-tailed fox king had wholeheartedly become Little Blackbird's lackey. Little Blackbird spoke in human language. The illusionary electric eel, who had been minding its own business in the corner, finally understood and came to a realization. Holy shit. No wonder that little devil was not afraid of its electric current. It turned out that that little devil master was not even afraid of thunder. Her spiritual pet, that ugly fire-breathing crow, was not afraid of lightning either? Oh God, it had made the best decision in its life at that time. Otherwise, it would have been killed by that fierce little devil. After Yun Chujo released Little Black Bird, the two leisurely gnawed on some spirit fruit and waited for the show to begin. The Wu Yun in the sky was still new. They felt that Tian Dao was simply making a big fuss over nothing. Did he need so many clouds to go after such a little girl? A few bolts of heavenly lightning could turn this little girl into ashes. At first, when they saw Yun Chujo riding on the flying spiritual device and running away, they thought that she was trying to escape. They could not help but sneer, trying to escape? If they wanted to strike someone down, even if you hid underground, they would hunt you to death. Later, when they saw Yun Chujo had landed on Longping Mountain, they thought that this little girl must have accepted her fate. Since she couldn't escape anyway, she was prepared to be struck to death. Who would have thought that she would take out an ugly bird from her spirit beast bag? What did that mean? She wanted both master and pet to die together? Fuck. Why did she start eating fruits? Could it be that she wanted to die with a belly full of food? However, why did that little girl look so comfortable? It was as if she was here on vacation. She was too carefree. Strike her. Boom. A bolt of heavenly lightning struck straight at Yun Chujo. The Wu Yun felt that this bolt of heavenly lightning would at least strike the little girl on the ground and leave her half dead. However, after the bolt struck her, it saw that the little girl continued to chew on the fruit in her hand as if nothing had happened. On the contrary, the ugly bird next to it shouted, "Hey! If you have the ability to strike me, please let me have it. I've been itching for a workout for a long time." Damn it. You, a weak little bird, actually dared to provoke them. Strike it. Boom. A bolt of lightning flew towards Little Black Bird. Little Black Bird could not wait to swallow the bolt of lightning into its stomach. Then it said arrogantly, "Just one bolt? Why are you so stingy? Can't you just give me a few more?" With how slow these bolts are, when will I be able to eat my fill? Wu Yun was furious. Boom, boom, boom. 3 bolts of heavenly lightning struck Little Black Bird. Little Black Bird swallowed all 3 bolts of heavenly lightning into its stomach. Then, he put his short wings on his waist and said, "Hey, can you try a little harder? This is the first time I've seen such stingy heavenly lightning. Would it kill you to fire a few more bolts?" And Feng, who was far away, touched his nose. Damn, this bird was similar to its master. This little black bird was just like the 9th Mississippi. As expected, the Wu Yun in the sky flew into a rage. More than 10 bolts of lightning flew toward the little black bird at the same time. Little Black Bird flapped its short wings with glee. It was afraid that some would be wasted, so it happily swallowed all of them into its stomach. "I'm finally half full. Come again. I'm not full yet," Little Black Bird said proudly. The Wu Yun in the sky was dumbfounded. Damn, where did this weird bird come from? Why could it devour lightning? I've never heard of such a weird bird. Chapter 851. The confused Wu Yun. Although the Wu Yun in the sky was a little shocked, it did not take it to heart. If a dozen lightning bolts could not kill you, then just keep up the attack. It did not believe that it could not even kill an ugly bird. Boom, boom, boom. Another dozen lightning bolts flew toward Little Black Bird. Little Black Bird swallowed them all, then burped and said, "Weak? Too weak. You're like the weakest members of the heavenly thunder world." The Wu Yun in the sky was furious. Strike it. Strike this arrogant ugly bird to death. Just as Wu Yun was about to launch another wave of fierce attacks, he heard Little Black Bird say, "Stupid thunderclouds, I'm already full. See you later." The Wu Yun in the sky watched as Little Black Bird disappeared on the spot. What was all the effort it put in earlier for then? It was so depressed that it wanted to vomit blood. That bird's debt must be repaid. Target that little girl. Wait, something isn't right. Fuck. Seems like maybe we came here to strike that little girl. Why was that stupid bird leading us astray? Boom, boom, boom. More than 10 bolts of lightning struck towards Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo sat cross-legged on the ground and did not dodge at all. She was eager to be struck by the lightning. The power of the lightning in her dantian was completely devoured by the black bead. Strange Grass and the Great Void Mirror were so angry that they wanted to evict the black bead. It was Yun Chujio who put an end to the conflict when she said that she would replenish it immediately. After more than 10 bolts of heavenly lightning were absorbed into Yun Chujio's dantian, the black bead was like a ravenous ghost that had not eaten for centuries. It completely devoured the absorbed lightning in seconds. Strange Grass and the Great Void Mirror were so angry that they were twitching. They wanted nothing more than to slap this glutton to death. Yun Chujio lazily raised her head and looked at the dark clouds in the sky. Little Blackbird is right. You are the weakest of the heavenly thunder world. You are too weak. You are not new here, are you? TSK. You might as well stop calling it heavenly lightning and call it vegetable lightning. Wu Yun was furious. Damn it. This little girl was even more hateful than that ugly bird. Kill her. Dozens of heavenly lightning bolts struck towards Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio was still lazy and did not move. She allowed the lightning bolts to strike her body. After the heavenly lightning bolts merged into her dantian, Strange Grass and the Great Void Mirror were afraid that they would be eaten up by the black bead. So the two of them quickly divided up the spoils. Yun Chujio looked inside her dantian and saw the black bead jumping anxiously. She thought to herself, damn it. I wish I could anger you to death. Who told you to suck my blood? The Wu Yun in the sky was on the verge of collapse. Why did we encounter two weirdos on our first mission to the Azure Mystic Continent today? Forget about the bird. We only struck a few dozen lightning bolts at it, but this little girl. We threw nearly 100 lightning bolts. How is she not dead? Just as Wu Yun was in a daze, it heard the little girl's sigh. Sigh, the heavenly lightning is getting weaker and weaker with each generation. Do you know that old bastard Tiandao is so weak? Wu Yun was completely enraged. It was fine if you scolded us, but you actually scolded Tiandao. That was unforgivable. Suddenly, thicker bolts of heavenly lightning struck continuously at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio nodded. Very good. That's the way to go. Keep it up. Wu Yun was so angry that it was seen to be twitching in the sky. I've been around for long enough. I don't believe that you're not completely immune to lightning. It'll strike you continuously for 2 hours. See if that doesn't kill you. 2 hours later, Yun Chujio was still sitting there leisurely. Occasionally, she would mock Wu Yun. Wu Yun was completely dumbfounded. Its mind was filled with doubt as it asked itself, who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Chapter 852. The little toad who looks at the sky from a well. After Wu Yun had calmed down for a while, it was revived and recovered its energy. If 2 hours isn't enough, it'll send bolts at you for 4 hours. 4 isn't enough, it'll do it for 6 hours. I don't believe that I can't strike you to death. After 6 hours, Yun Chujio was still lying in the huge pit calmly. As she chewed on the roasted spirit potatoes, she said, Lei, you guys aren't completely useless. Your skills in roasting spirit potatoes are much better than those old Wu Yun from before. They often threw lightning bolts at my spirit potatoes until they were burnt. You guys roasted them just right. Wu Yun was so angry that it wanted to bang its head against the wall. Are you fucking praising us or insulting us? We're here to strike you to death, not to roast spirit potatoes for you. Boom, boom, boom. Wu Yun risked its life to continue to throw lightning bolts at Yun Chujio. The entire time, Yun Chujio felt extremely relaxed. This time it was much easier to endure compared to previous lightning strikes. It seemed that the violent power of lightning had a much smaller impact on her now. I don't know if it was because I broke through to the 5th level of the spiritual emperor realm or because of the black bead. Yun Chujio's dantian now had 3 malignant illegal immigrants. It was like a bottomless pit. These heavenly lightning bolts were usually a disaster to others, but to Yun Chujio they were a great tonic. Every once in a while, Yun Chujio would provoke the dark clouds in the sky and incite it to throw more heavenly lightning bolts at her. Di Baiming, Shuewuji, and the others were a little worried at first. They stood and watched, ready to intervene at any time. In the end they simply sat down. Even if something happened, it was more likely to affect the dark clouds than that little devil. The heavenly lightning struck her repeatedly from the afternoon until the morning of the next day. The pit where Yoon Chujo was in had grown deeper and wider with each strike. Yoon Chujo felt like a little toad sitting in a well and looking at the sky. She could only see a patch of the sky above amidst the dark clouds overhead. These new dark clouds clearly could not accept the fact that they could not kill Yoon Chujo. They kept on throwing lightning bolts at her, which helped feed the black bead. The originally dim black bead now had a halo around it. It seemed to be able to do more than just absorb lightning now. Yoon Chujo stood up and stretched her limbs. Little weakling, that's enough. If you are not tired, I will be tired on your behalf. Anyway, you can't kill me. Hurry up and stop already. The dark clouds in the sky had gone berserk. They only had one purpose in their hearts now, and that was to kill this little devil. They continued to hurl lightning bolts at her. Yoon Chujo spread out her hands. If you're willing to, then do it. I don't care. Come on. Let the little weakling strike even more fiercely. Wu Yun was already beyond furious. They decided to use their ultimate move. Several bolts of heavenly lightning combined and formed a heavenly lightning bolt with a diameter of 5 feet. It struck down at Yoon Chujo with immense heavenly might. Yoon Chujo was shocked. Fuck. She had screwed up this time. If that huge bolt struck her body, her dantian would definitely be broken. Although the strange grass could help her recover, it would still hurt. She had to take cover. However, she was stuck in a deep pit now. Where could she take cover under? In a moment of desperation, she kicked the soil beside her. Yoon Chujo never expected that the soil to turn out to be so soft. Yoon Chujo's kick made a hole large enough to fit her body. Yoon Chujo quickly hid in it. Although the heavenly lightning could change directions, she would mitigate the damage while under cover so she would suffer less damage. As expected, after the heavenly lightning struck, it found that Yoon Chujo had hidden in a dirt cave nearby and changed the lightning bolt's direction toward it. After struggling to control the large lightning bolt, it lost around 30% of its destructive power. When it struck Yoon Chujo, although she was in unbearable pain, at least her meridians had not exploded. The power of the lightning turned the surrounding soil into a mess. Then, Yoon Chujo found that she was falling uncontrollably. Chapter 853. The terrifying evil formation. When Wu Yun saw that Yoon Chujo had disappeared from the deep pit, she thought that it must have been the ultimate move that killed the little devil. It formed a smiling face in the sky proudly and then skipped away. Di Biming and Xue Wuji were dumbfounded, looking at Wu Yun's jubilant mood. Could it be that little Jiu had finally been struck to death? They quickly ran to the top of the deep pit, then rode their swords and flew into the deep pit. It was not long before they found the seemingly bottomless hole nearby. As the hole could only accommodate one person and could not ride their swords, the four of them could only activate their spiritual energy barrier before they jumped down one after another. When the four of them reached the bottom, they found that Yoon Chujo was fighting with a group of silver-masked men and 3 gold-masked men. The four of them immediately joined the battle without a thought. Although there were quite a number of silver-masked men, they were no match for Di Biming and Xue Wuji. In less than 15 minutes they were incapacitated. The 3 gold-masked men looked at each other, then bit their index fingers and cast the secret skill Yoon Chujo had seen before again. After 3 huge red spider lilies flashed before their eyes, the 3 of them disappeared. Almost at the same time, the silver-masked men all bled to death from their 7 orifices. It was the same situation that Yoon Chujo had encountered at the bottom of the lake. Originally, Di Biming and Xue Wuji had thought that Yoon Chujo was exaggerating when they heard Yoon Chuji's story. Now that they had seen it with their own eyes, the godly devil hall was indeed frightening. Little sister Jiu, why did you fall into this place? What is this place? Xue Wuji asked. I wanted to find a place to hide to avoid the heavenly lightning's ultimate attack. In the end, I kicked a hole in the ground in desperation. I didn't expect that I would fall into this place after being struck by the remaining power of the heavenly lightning. Before I could regain my senses, a group of people rushed me. Fuck, I had no time to think, so I defended myself. Just as the fighting started, you guys arrived. I didn't have the time to check out this place yet. Yun Chujo said as she looked around. This was obviously a tunnel. The front was brightly lit, so it should be the right place. And Feng and Secret Agent Hua Hua searched the silver-masked men's bodies. Then Yun Chujo, Di Biming, and Xue Wuji walked forward. When the three of them saw the scene in front of them, they were stunned and even felt nauseous. This was a very large room. In the middle was a big array, and in the middle was a huge red spider lily. Around it were 108 array leaves, and on each of them were complicated ancient runes. Around the array was a pool of blood. Tens of thousands of demonic beasts were chained to the ground. They were not dead, but the blood in their bodies was constantly being drained into the blood pool around the array disc. This array disc was not activated by spirit stones, but by the blood and life force of the demonic beasts. It was truly terrifying. Damn! Although our demon blood sect is named as such, our demon blood pool is not filled with blood. This godly devil hall is too abnormal. Xue Wuji clicked his tongue repeatedly. No wonder there were not many demon beasts in the mountain filled with so many spiritual plants. It turned out that they were all already captured and brought here. Prince Charming, what is the use of this array? How can we stop it? If we don't, I think some of the demonic beasts will die. Although we usually kill them, this is too cruel. Besides, look at them. They are all so weak from having their blood drained. Yun Chujo saw the pleading looks in the demonic beast's eyes. She couldn't bear it. Chapter 854. Breaking the formation. Di Biming examined it carefully and said after a moment of contemplation, this formation should be some kind of ancient evil formation. It's most likely used to find the eye of the earth. Just destroy the formation leaves to disrupt it. If that's the case, then what are we waiting for? I'm doing it. Such a sinister formation shouldn't exist. The people of the godly devil hall are nothing. Well, kill them all sooner or later. As Xue Wuji spoke, he attacked one of the array leaves with his spiritual power. Unexpectedly, a blood-red pattern of the red spider lily appeared on the surface of the array leaf and dissolved Xue Wuji's spirit skull bomb. The three of them were very surprised. Xue Wuji's spirit skull bomb was almost equivalent to the power of a 9th level of the spiritual emperor realm practitioner. How could it be dissolved so easily? Yun Chujo suddenly exclaimed, look! The blood in the blood pool had decreased. The red spider lily was formed using the blood of these demonic beasts. If we continue to attack the array leaves, those demonic beasts will not survive. We have to save those demonic beasts first before we destroy the array. Di Biming and Xue Wuji thought that what Yun Chujo said made sense. However, there were so many demonic beasts here that once they regained their freedom, they would probably be too weak to move. Moreover, there was only a narrow exit here. Most of these demonic beasts would not fit, so they had to find another exit first. Yun Chujo blinked her eyes. That's easy. Let them into my spiritual beast bag and I'll release them later. Little Sister Jo, you are so smart. Xue Wuji said from the bottom of his heart. Little Sister Jo was not only beautiful, but also smart. Unfortunately, she only had eyes for Di Biming, who had a paralyzed face. Sigh. What a waste. These demonic beasts had their spiritual power restricted. Then they were fixed to the ground or hung on the roof by iron chains. Yun Chujo comforted them first. We are not with those people from before. Don't worry, we are here to save you. The exit here is very narrow, and it is underground. After the iron chains are cut off, I will let you into my spiritual beast bag. Don't worry, you don't have to recognize me as your master. After this evil formation is destroyed, I will release all of you at the mountain. The high-level demon beasts understood what Yun Chujo meant, and nodded their heads in agreement. Yun Chujo started to save the high-level demon beasts. When the low-level demon beasts saw that nothing strange had happened to the high-level demon beasts, they also followed them in. At that time, Secret Agent Hua Hua and Enfeng had also finished searching the bodies of the silver-masked men. Just like the last time, they did not find anything other than jade tokens and pills. They could only put away their bodies first for the 4 great sects to identify them. They wanted to see if there were any disciples from their sections. The 5 of them worked hard for hours before they managed to save all the demonic beasts. Yun Chujo saw that some of them had lost too much blood, so she fed them some low-level blood-replenishing herbs from the Great Void Mystic Realm. After they had rescued the demonic beasts, the 5 of them began to attack the formation leaves. In the beginning, red spider lilies would appear on top of the formation leaves to neutralize the spiritual attacks of the 5 of them. Only after the blood in the blood pool was depleted did their attacks become effective. After attacking for nearly 4 hours, the group finally destroyed the evil formation disc. Yun Chujo put the damaged disc into her storage ring and prepared to hand it over to the 4 great sections. The 5 of them searched their surroundings, but could not find anything else or an exit. They could only expand the hole that they had used as the entrance before they got on their swords and flew back to the surface. Chapter 855. The Elixir Valley. The 5 of them entered the forest, and Yun Chujo released those demonic beasts at several places. Regardless of whether it was a high-level or low-level demonic beast, they all bowed to Yun Chujo and the others a few times before going their own way. Yun Chujo sighed. Although humans and demonic beasts were sometimes natural enemies, what the godly devil hall did was going too far. After the 5 of them released the last of the beasts, they returned to the Spirit Radiance sect. The moment they entered the Spirit Radiance sect, Yun Chujo felt that something was wrong. Usually, when they entered the Spirit Radiance sect, they would see many disciples along the way. Why was it that when they returned this time, they only saw a few outer sect and odd job disciples? After seeing Master Xinyuan, Yun Chujo received a shocking piece of news. Before she received the news from Yun Chujo, a major event had happened in the Azure Mystic Continent. The Elixir Valley, which opened once every 1,000 years, had opened as scheduled. Although while in the ancient sword tomb they had suspected that someone was pulling the strings, there was no concrete evidence. Moreover, the Elixir Valley was about to be opened. Many ancient spirit herbs lost in history could be found there, so going there was worth the risk. Therefore, the 4 great sects and forces had sent their disciples to the valley. The Elixir Valley was divided into 2 parts, the East Valley and the West Valley. The East Valley had high-level spirit herbs, so only cultivators at the level of Spirit Emperor were allowed access, whereas the West Valley had lower-level spirit herbs, so only cultivators at the level of Spirit Cultivator were allowed in there. However, even the spirit herbs in the West Valley were very precious to the current Azure Mystic Continent. Therefore, the inner disciples and half of the elders of the Spirit Radiance sect rushed to the Elixir Valley to try and obtain as many of them as possible. After a month, the various major powers discovered that something was wrong. Normally, the people inside should have been ejected after a month had passed, yet nothing had happened. What was even stranger still was that the Spiritual Medicine Valley was still open. This meant that they could still enter the valley as they pleased. The people waiting outside could only send more people in to investigate the situation. Unexpectedly, those people did not come out. After 2 months had passed, the Spiritual Medicine Valley had still not closed. No one had been ejected either, so something must have happened to those still inside. The sect leaders of the 4 great sects recalled the incident in the ancient sword tomb. They could confirm that this was the work of the godly devil hall. However, even with that knowledge, they were powerless to do anything. The people who had entered had not returned. The only good news was that some people had left their life tokens outside, which showed that they were still alive. They should only be trapped inside. After Yun Chujo found out that the Yun siblings, Feng Ming, and the others were also trapped inside, her head buzzed. No wonder her grandfather had been restless recently. It turned out that it was not him who was going to have an accident, but Fifth Sister and the others. Yun Chujo was originally hesitant about whether she should enter the Elixir Valley to save them, but now she had to go. Sect Master, am rushing to the Elixir Valley. If anything happens to me, I'll leave the Yun family and my grandfather to you. Please take care of them. Little Josai, it's better if you stay. I'm afraid you'll be in deep trouble if you go there now. The 4 sect masters had once argued over whether to send more people to investigate what was happening. But now we can tell a storm is coming for the entire Azure Mystic Continent, We still have to conserve our strength. Otherwise, if a war starts in the future, we won't even have anyone to fight in it. Master Xianyuan had been mentally and physically exhausted the entire time. His face had also aged considerably. Chapter 856. Venturing into the Dragon's Lair and the Tiger's Lair. Sect Leader. You said that I was doing it for the sake of the sect and for my family. I can't just stand by and watch them stay trapped inside. Although I'm not necessarily stronger, I am definitely smarter. Moreover, I even outsmarted the trap at the ancient sword tomb. I don't believe that the Elixir Valley can trap me. Yun Chujia's small face was full of determination. Even if it was a dragon's den or a tiger's den, she would still go for it. Her smarts always triumphed over whatever came in her way. She would definitely be able to save the others. When Master Xianyuan saw that Yun Chujio had already made up her mind, he could only sigh and say, "Alright, since you've already made up your mind, you should take this storage ring with you. It contains all the defensive spirit tools of the Spirit Radiance sect. Bring it with you just in case. Remember that talismans cannot be used in the Elixir Valley, and flying is forbidden." Yun Chujio nodded. Although there were many defensive spirit tools in her storage ring, they all needed to accept her as their master before they could be used. The low-level defensive spirit tools given by Master Xianyuan were more convenient, since there were no ownership requirements. And Feng was asked by Yun Chujio to hand over the silver-masked men's corpses and array discs to Master Xianyuan. She also told him the location of Longping Mountain, and asked him to gather the 4 sect leaders to follow up with what they found there. After taking care of some things, Yun Chujio and the others left the meeting hall. Di Baiming and Xue Wuji did not stop Yun Chujio. They knew that Yun Chujio valued relationships very much. No matter what, they had to go to the Elixir Valley. The 5 of them immediately got on their flying spirit tools and rushed toward the Elixir Valley. "Little Jiu, you are now a spirit emperor. You can go to the East Valley, but what about the West Valley?" Di Baiming asked Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio frowned. "If you can't tell my true spiritual power level, I don't think the array formation of the Elixir Valley will be able to either. I'll try entering the West Valley first, and when the people of the West Valley are rescued, we'll enter the East Valley together. Otherwise, I'll go rescue the East Valley members first. Little Jiu, we can try wearing the hidden spirit ring. What if the array formation is fooled?" Xue Wuji said. "Xue Wuji, if the hidden spirit ring worked, do you think those people won't already be using it? I'm afraid that only Little Jiu can sneak in." Di Baiming was very frustrated but could not help. Making him feel uneasy, Xue Wuji touched his nose. "I also know that it might not work, but I can't let little sister Jiu take the risk alone. I'm really worried." Yun Chujio smiled and said, "Prince Charming Brother Wuji, you don't have to worry. I've already broken out of the ancient sword tomb and that barrier, so why would I be afraid of a small Elixir Valley? Moreover, since the spiritual power level of the cultivators allowed to enter the West Valley is low, the demon beasts and the array formation inside should not be as powerful as those at the East Valley. Nothing serious will happen to me." Although Di Baiming and Xue Wuji were worried, they had no other choice but to acquiesce. Half a month later, everyone arrived at the Elixir Valley. Outside the Elixir Valley, there were people from the 4 great sects and other factions. All of them looked distraught. When they saw Yun Chujio, they immediately felt that the manifestation of hope had arrived. This little girl had escaped from the ancient sword tomb after all. She was truly blessed with great fortune. With her, they would be able to rescue the people trapped inside. After the incident in the ancient sword tomb, these people had a mysterious confidence in Yun Chujio. They believed that this little devil would definitely be able to solve all their problems. Chapter 857. No time to bother with you. After Yun Chujio learned more about the situation from them, she walked to the entrance of the West Valley and prepared herself. Di Baiming and Xue Wuji put on their hidden spirit rings and tried to enter the valley. As expected, they were barred from entry. They could only watch as Yun Chujio slowly walked in herself. A white light flashed and Yun Chujo disappeared from the entrance. Everyone understood then that she had successfully entered the West Valley. Di Biming and Xue Wuji had mixed feelings. They were both happy that Yun Chujo managed to get in, but they were also worried about her safety. At this moment they could not do anything except wait outside. After a flash of white light, Yun Chujo found herself in a valley. The valley was huge and she could not see where the horizon ended. Yun Chujo casually swept her eyes over it and was surprised to find that the spiritual herbs that casually grew on both sides were high-grade yellow-rank spiritual herbs. Although they were not considered high-grade spiritual herbs, they were still considered pretty useful. No wonder, even though they knew that it might be a trap, most people still flocked to the valley. It was true that people would die for money and animals would die for food. After Yun Chujo was done rambling, she continued to walk forward. She was teleported in randomly, so she did not know where those people were trapped. She could only choose one direction to search. Yun Chujo thought for a moment and decided to search along the direction of the stream. Many spiritual herbs like to grow near sources of water, so the cultivators who came in would travel along the stream to pick more spiritual herbs. Not long after Yun Chujo reached the stream, a group of 6th-level purple-eyed windblade wolves surrounded her, drooling non-stop. Yun Chujo frowned. 6th level? The intelligence of a 6th-level demon beast was not fully activated yet. It would be great if she could meet an 8th-level demon beast. Perhaps she could get some useful information. Get lost. I don't have time to deal with you. Yun Chujo casually threw a bolt of lightning at the grass beside her. She didn't want to waste her time on the wolves. She just wanted to scare them away. The purple-eyed windblade wolves were shocked. Seeing the deep scorch marks on the grass, they ran away with their tails between their legs. They could not afford to offend this fiend. It was better to change their prey. Yun Chujo encountered a few groups of demon beasts along the way. Most of them were at the 5th and 6th level. Yun Chujo used lightning to scare them away to avoid wasting time. 2 days passed, but she had not managed to find any clues. She had not encountered any high-level demonic beasts, nor had she found any traces of people. Whether it was footprints or some miscellaneous items, there was nothing. It was as if no one had come here before. Yun Chujo even specially observed some places where the spiritual herbs grew. There were no traces of people picking them. Yun Chujo was puzzled. Could it be that she went in the wrong direction? Even if that were the case, with the number of people that had traveled to the valley, she should have found something by then. What was going on? Another 2 days passed, but Yun Chujo still had not found anything. Other than low-level demonic beasts and spirit herbs, there had not seemed to be anything else there. Yun Chujo frowned. Could it be that the array formation had been tampered with? The place where she was teleported to was not the same as the ones used by the others? Fuck. If that were the case, then things would be bad. Forget about saving people. If this were a one-way formation, she would be trapped here. It was no use worrying about that now. She had to think of a solution. Most likely her guess was right. This was not the place where Fifth Sister and the others had come in. She had to think of a way out. However, they had to wait for the array to eject someone before they could completely exit the valley. How could she get out with that limitation in place? Chapter 858. Little Blackbird. Yun Chujo frowned. This place was different from the last time she was trapped. While she was at the bottom of the sea, she could still think of a way to find the enchantment barrier. However, this place was boundless and she could not think of a way to find out where the barrier was. Even if she could find the enchantment using an object as a reference point, it would still take several months. At that time, Fifth Sister and the others might have already lost their lives. She had to find a solution as soon as possible. Yun Chujo carefully recalled the incident in the ancient sword tomb. Since it was the godly devil Hall's doing, there had to be some similarities. If she carefully figured it out, and she would definitely find something to learn from. Yun Chujo thought hard for a long time, and then her eyes lit up. Although the godly devil Hall could control the ancient array formation, the ancient array formation had developed an intelligence after tens of thousands of years. The godly devil Hall could not completely control it, Just like when she provoked the wild heavenly lightning in the array formation last time. If the godly devil hall could completely control the array formation, they would not have let the wild heavenly lightning strike me and exhaust its spirit stones. She could use the same method and provoke the array formation here to see if there were any flaws. Moreover, although the area she was in had a lot of yellow rank high-grade herbs, there were very few black rank herbs. This meant that this was very likely only the outer valley of the Western Valley. Even if there were an array formation here, it would not be too powerful. She should be able to find an opportunity. Thinking of this, Yun Chujo first ate a few big meat buns and replenished her strength. Only then did she start to shout towards the sky, "Hey, the array formation here can't be stupid, right? Otherwise, why would she spend spirit stones to surround such an area that didn't have any valuable herbs? Isn't that waste of resources?" But that's right, you're a stupid idiot. So of course you do something dumb like that. TSK. I feel sad for your array formation. Other arrays are busy guarding those high-level spiritual medicine areas, but you're guarding a place that's just full of weeds. It's obvious that you're being ostracized. I reckon that a weakling like you probably doesn't have any special ability, right? Can you even use lightning strikes? I reckon you can't, right? TSK, you're weak. Yun Chujo cursed as she looked around. When the formation was activated, there would be spiritual fluctuations. Perhaps she would be able to spot some on the formation's boundary. Yun Chujo cursed for a while. Seeing that there was no reaction, she decided to let out the little black bird. Little black, you scold it. Look for a flaw while you work. Master, don't worry. I'm the best at scolding people. Regardless of whether it's a human, a beast, or a rune spirit, I guarantee that it'll anger it to death. Little Black Bird said smugly. Little Black Bird held his waist with one short wing and pointed at the sky with the other. Wah, you shameless rune spirit, you want to trap me here. Pa! With that pathetic look of yours, you still think you can trap me? I just think that you're too stupid to be saved. I'll stay here and watch you make a fool of yourself. You're not convinced, are you? I bet you're so stupid that you can't even count to 10. See? You didn't dare to make a sound, right? I knew you couldn't count from 1 to 10. If you can strike me with 10 bolts of lightning, prove it to me. Following the scolding of the little black bird, a dark cloud floated over from the sky and struck the little black bird with a bolt of lightning. The little black bird couldn't fly here. It deliberately flapped its wings pitifully and fled in all directions. As it ran, it provoked, "Fuck! You stupid rune spirit, you used lightning to strike me but you missed. You can't strike me, you can't strike me. You even hit little old me." Yun Chuju gestured to little black bird with a thumbs up. She indicated for him to stall for as long as possible so that she could find the source of the spiritual energy fluctuation. Chapter 859. Way of the Sacrificial Bird. Little Black Bird was struck by the lightning. The small cloud thought that it would turn Little Black Bird into charcoal. Who would have thought that even though Little Black Bird was making a scene by rolling and crawling around, he was still alive and kicking after half a day. He also constantly provoked the cloud. "Aya, you stupid lightning. You can only count to 10, right? If you can do more, prove it to me by striking me 20 times. Che, is this really a lightning bolt? It's so weak. I can't feel anything when it strikes my body. Little weakling, did you not eat? Why don't you come back after eating? You are so weak, I feel ashamed for you. No wonder you were only assigned to guard weeds, you are too weak." "Master, I have been struck by dozens of lightning bolts. Although the lightning is not as strong as the ones outside, I can't hold on for much longer. You have to hurry up," Little Black Bird said to Yun Chujo with his spiritual sense. "Little Black, there doesn't seem to be any abnormal spiritual fluctuations here. We have to change locations," Yun Chujo said with a frown. Little Black Bird was about to cry. "Master, you have to be more careful. I can't fly here. I can't run away from these damn lightning bolts forever with these 2 short legs." Just as Little Black Bird was cursing in its heart, Yun Chujo picked up Little Black Bird and sped away. The lightning bolts in the sky had not reacted for a moment. By the time it had recovered, Yun Chujo had already run dozens of miles away. Then, she placed the little black bird on the ground and said, "Continue teasing it." Little black bird had no choice but to provoke Wu Yun once again. "Bastard thundercloud. I'm warning you, I'm not afraid of you. I'm just tired of the scenery of that lousy place. If you have the guts, continue striking me. You can't strike me with lightning me anymore, right? Why don't you admit defeat? I won't laugh at you. After all, not all lightning bolts deserve to be called heavenly lightning. There is still a kind of weaker version called vegetable lightning in this world." The Wu Yun was so angry that it twitched in the sky. Ever since it gained sentience, that was the first time it had been insulted. It had to electrocute that ugly bird to death. Little black bird was struck by lightning again. When he felt that it couldn't hold on any longer, Yun Chujo gave it 2 heavenly-grade exploding spirit pills and instantly revived him to full health. Little black bird was also shocked at her willingness to use such high-grade pills on him. When the little black bird finally couldn't hold on any longer, Yun Chujo let the little black bird back into the spirit beast bag. She thought that the lightning would vent its anger and strike her instead. She did not expect that this Wu Yun would stop for a while and then float away. From that day on, Yun Chujo started to exploit the situation. Little black bird's miserable daily life now involved provoking the Elixir Valley Wu Yun, and then get struck by lightning. The Wu Yun here hated that ugly fire-breathing crow to death. It felt that the bird's mouth was too mean, so it had to kill it. Finally, 3 days later, Yun Chujo said to Little Black Bird, "Little Black, I finally found a spiritual fluctuation somewhere. I need to confirm it's really there." Hearing Yun Chujo's words, Little Black Bird could only change accept its fate and continue to curse the lightning cloud. Fortunately, while he did not learn anything else from Yun Chujo, his cursing had reached a new level with constant use. Yun Chujo suddenly raised her hand and shot a bolt of purple lightning toward a specific area. As expected, she encountered a barrier. It seemed that she had found it. "Master, can I call it a day?" Little Black Bird asked pitifully. Yun Chujo nodded and let Little Black Bird back into her spirit beast bag. Then she struck the enchantment with lightning a few more times. To her surprise, she found that the enchantment had trembled from the repeated impacts. This meant that the enchantment was not that strong and she could break it. Chapter 860. There must be something wrong with this little girl. After the Elixir Valley Wu Yun discovered Yun Chujo's actions, it realized that it had been tricked. It struck at Yun Chujo in exasperation. This little girl must have instructed the ugly bird to provoke it, so that she would discover the fluctuation of spiritual power. How cunning! She had tried to break through its barrier. In her dreams, "I'll kill you before you do anything else." After being struck by lightning 13 times, it realized that this little girl was even more difficult to deal with than the ugly bird. No matter what, the ugly bird could still dodge when it was struck by lightning, indicating that it was still afraid of being struck by lightning. However, this devilish little girl completely turned a blind eye to its heavenly lightning. It angered the cloud to death. "No wonder Little Black said that you are a rookie. You are really weak. I stood here motionlessly and allowed you to strike me, but you still couldn't hurt me. Don't you think you are a good-for-nothing?" Yun Chujo rolled her eyes. It was not bad to consume a little of its spiritual energy. Coincidentally, the 3 malefic beings in her dantian had bottomless stomachs. It was a good opportunity to absorb some of the power of lightning. How could the Wu Yun withstand Yun Chujo's provocation? It kept throwing bolts of lightning at her. After 4 hours, Yun Chujo was still alive and kicking. However, the Wu Yun was getting less and less aggressive, so it had no choice but to give up and run away. Only then did Yun Chujo release the 3 silly munchkins. After thinking for a while, she also released the illusionary electric eel. Although it was an aquatic demon beast, it was still able to attack the enchantment. More beasts meant more power. The illusionary electric eel was now under the control of others. It had to obey regardless of whether it wanted to or not, so it could only help Yun Chujo attack the enchantment together with the others. The enchantment here was indeed not very strong. It was not even half as strong as the one at the bottom of the sea. In less than an hour, a crack had appeared. Yun Chujo put the beasts into her spirit beast bag and sent a few purple lightning bolts at the barrier. After the crack expanded to a size large enough to fit her, she jumped out with a whoosh. The rune spirit here was almost about to cry because of its stupidity. It decided to not tell anyone about how it was tricked and kept the incident to itself. Fortunately, the rune spirit made that stupid decision much to Yoon Chuji's benefit. Otherwise, when the other two rune spirits found out about its encounter, they would be on guard against Yoon Chujio. She would then have a much harder time rescuing the others. After Yoon Chujio escaped from the enchantment, she found that there was still a valley full of life in front of her. Yoon Chujio randomly chose a direction. After walking for a while, she found that the level of the spirit herbs here was much higher than where she was previously. Moreover, she could occasionally find some traces of humans passing by. Yoon Chujio was delighted this time she finally found the right place. As long as she followed the tracks, she would definitely be able to find the trapped people. Along the way, they encountered several groups of level 5 or 6 demonic beasts, but Yoon Chujio still used heavenly lightning to scare them away. She couldn't help but curse in his heart. Why was it so hard to encounter a level 8 demonic beast? Coincidentally, just as Yoon Chujio cursed in her heart, a group of level 8 ironhide leopards surrounded Yoon Chujio. The leader of the group, the Leopard King, stared at Yoon Chujio with a pair of cold eyes. Then it found that the little human girl in front of it actually laughed happily, as if she had just made a fortune. Was this little girl sick? It was wondering if that crazy disease was contagious, or else they would have already eaten her. Just as the Leopard King hesitated, it heard the little human girl say, "Little Bun, you came at the right time. Quickly bring me to those trapped cultivators." Chapter 861. The miserable Leopard King. After the Leopard King recovered from his shock, a look of disdain appeared on his face. This little girl was indeed quite sick. Who did she think she was? She still wanted to order them around? Dream on. Besides, what did she mean by the name Little Bun? They were leopards, not buns. Was she not able to distinguish between apples and oranges? It was truly terrifying to be uncultured. Damned little girl. Regardless of whether her meat could be eaten or not, daring to provoke them like this was courting death. The Leopard King roared a few times and signaled for its underlings to attack together. They would bite this little girl to death first. Yoon Chujio curled her lips. The intelligence of these leopards was really worrying. Since they were asking for it, then she would not hold back. In just a few seconds, the Leopard King and its underlings were tragically thunderstruck into nothing but leopard spots. After the bodies of these ironhide leopards were charred black by Yoon Chujio's heavenly lightning, she said with a smile, "How is it? Doesn't this new look suit you better? As a reward, help me find those trapped people. Otherwise, I'll burn all your hair off." The Leopard King was about to cry. It had never met such a devilish human. They said that the humans who came here were only spirit cultivators. Why was this fiend in front of him a spirit emperor? Moreover, it was no normal low-level spirit emperor, it was a freaking heavenly thunder root spirit. Why was life so unfair? When he thought about how he would end up bald and riddled with injuries from lightning strikes in the future, he shuddered from fear. Under Yoon Chujio's tyrannical power, the Leopard King could only nod his head and sullenly agree. In the beginning, Yoon Chujio followed from behind while the Leopard King and his subordinates led the way. After walking for a while, Yoon Chujio shouted, "Wait! I'm tired from walking. Little Bun, I'll get on your back. You carry me." The Leopard King felt that he had nothing left to live for. If the other Beast Kings saw him carrying the little girl like a servile spirit pet, he would not be able to survive the ensuing humiliation. The Leopard King decided to resist death. Yes, he would rather die than let the little girl have it her way. After a few lightning strikes, the Leopard King comforted himself. This king said that he would not let the little girl succeed even if he died. Since he was still alive, he could only give in to her demands. Yoon Chujio leisurely rode on the Leopard King's back, and from time to time she would pick on it. "Don't you have eyes? You can't even go around a puddle? You splashed mud on my shoes. Are the pads on your paws just for decoration? Can't you be more stable? I spilled 2 drops of my tea." The Leopard King felt that it must have owed this little girl something in its previous life. That was why he was so intensely bullied by her now. It had lived for more than 1,000 years, but this was the first time it had been bullied so badly. This sort of treatment was unheard of. The Leopard King felt that its little heart had suffered a critical hit of tens of thousands of points. It could only turn its grief and anger into speed, hoping to get rid of the jinx on its back as soon as possible. As a beast king in this valley, the Leopard King naturally knew where the human cultivators gathered. It had also planned to attack those people, but seeing that there were so many of them, it knew it had no chance of winning, so it gave up on the idea. Early the next morning, Yun Chujo saw a group of cultivators from afar. There were thousands of them, gathered in twos and threes. The cultivators also noticed Yun Chujo as she approached. The sun had just risen in the morning, and the valley was covered with multicolored light. Amidst the light, a white-clothed girl rode a leopard and slowly approached. The girl's brows and eyes were exquisite, as if drawn by a paintbrush bit by bit. A brilliant smile was on her face, and she repeatedly waved at everyone. "Everyone, long time no see. I'm here to save you." Chapter 862. Was this a leopard? Even after many years, the cultivators who were trapped there would still remember the beautiful scene they saw that day. They remembered the smile on the young girl's face, the one like a breeze that blew away the fear, decadence, and despair in their hearts. Ever since they were trapped in the Western Elixir Valley, their confidence had gradually eroded. They were even prepared to be trapped here for a lifetime or even die. They did not expect that just a smile would restore their confidence. The arrival of the young girl, just like the rising sun behind her, rekindled their hope. After the young girl approached, the Yun siblings rushed over. "Little Jiao. It's Little Jiao. Little Jiao, why are you here? You're fine, that's great. Little Jiao, how did you become so beautiful?" Feng Ming and the others also surrounded her. "Junior sister Little Jiao, is it you? I thought our eyes were playing tricks on us. You've escaped from the ancient sword tomb. I knew it. I told everyone, how could that little evildoer die so easily?" After they chatted for a while, Yun Chujo said with a smile, "Tell me about how you were trapped. Little Bun, come here and be my chair." The Leopard King, who was slowly walking the other way and was about to secretly escape, trembled and had no choice but to trot over. It lay prostrate on the ground and sadly became Yun Chujia's chair. "Junior sister Xiaojiu, this is a level 8 ironhide leopard. The fur of the ironhide leopard is not usually like this. How did it end up looking like this?" Feng Ming asked curiously. The Leopard King felt that it had been hit by a heart attack. "Fuck. This little brat really opened up a can of worms. If it wasn't due to my lack of strength, I would fight you to the death. Leopards can be killed but not humiliated. Hihi, this is a new outfit I designed for them. Isn't it pretty?" Yun Chujo felt much more relieved when she saw that the Yun siblings and Feng Ming were safe and sound. Only then did Feng Ming realize that those black spots weren't spots at all. It turned out that they were scorch marks from lightning strikes. Feng Ming silently sympathized with the leopards in his heart. "Meeting junior sister Little Jiao was the greatest misfortune of your lives." Feng Ming told them what had happened. When they initially entered, they saw the medicinal plants all over the ground. Naturally, they were elated and excitedly harvested them. However, after a month had passed, they tragically discovered that they had not been automatically sent out at all. Everyone had no way to escape and had dispelled their previous prejudices. All the people from the various factions had gathered to think of a solution, but they still had no way out. Later on, when some people came in to investigate what had happened, they also ended up trapped here. At first, they had held on to the hope of finding the exit and enchantment barrier, but after countless disappointments, the hope turned into despair. They had given up on the search and gathered together to resign themselves to their fate. Yun Chujo nodded after listening. "Everyone, don't give up. There will definitely be a solution to this predicament." Just as Yun Chujo finished her sentence, a few scattered and disdainful voices sounded. "TSK, do you think you are that great? There are so many of us here, but we still couldn't find a way out. What makes you who just go in think you can? Some people are lucky enough to succeed once and think they are amazing. There might not have been anything wrong in the ancient sword tomb and spread exaggerated rumors instead. That's right, you think of yourself as a prodigy. No matter how powerful you are. Aren't you only at the 5th level of the Spirit Emperor realm? You can't even enter this place at that level. Of the majority of the people who escaped from the ancient sword tomb, there were only a few at the level of the Spirit Emperor realm. Only about 20 people among the people in the Elixir Valley had seen Yun Chujia's abnormal abilities, so the remaining few thousand people were naturally suspicious of Yun Chujio. Chapter 863. Coercion Senior Brother Fengming. How did you find the enchantment barrier? Yun Chujio turned a deaf ear to these questions. If she had a choice, she would not have bothered to save these idiots. However, to fight against the godly Devil Hall in the future, she needed all the help she could get. She could only reluctantly save these idiots along the way. Fengming smiled bitterly. Junior sister Little Joe, we used the stupidest method. We blindly attacked any suspicious spots to see where we would encounter the barrier. Unfortunately, we never found it. Yun Chujio nodded. Although it was the dumbest method, it was also the easiest to execute. She did not know if it would be useful to try insulting the resident rune spirit again. Yun Chujio stood up and cursed at the sky with her hands on her waist. There was no reaction. It seemed that this rune spirit here was not so stupid. When the people who ridiculed Yun Chujio saw her behavior, they laughed again and again. I told you that this Yun Chujio was just bluffing, right? She really has nothing to do. She's actually scolding the rune spirit. Isn't she afraid that the rune spirit will punish her in anger? That's right. The rune spirit is equivalent to Tian Dao here. Isn't it asking for death to curse at the rune spirit? I think we should kneel and beg for it to let us go. Ah, you're right. Why didn't we think of that before? Quick! Let's kneel and beg the rune spirit to let us out. The person's words were the last straw for everyone. They knelt and begged the rune spirit for mercy. Lord Rune Spirit, we were wrong. Please let us out. Yes, Lord Rune Spirit, as long as you let us out, we will pray for you day and night in the future. We will present you with offerings daily. Everyone knelt for a long time. Other than the sound of the wind, there were no other changes. At that time, one of the men said, Yun Chujio must have insulted the rune spirit and angered it. That's why the Lord Rune Spirit didn't accept our request. Yun Chujio, quickly kneel and apologize to the Lord Rune Spirit. Yes, Yun Chujio, quickly kneel. We can't all be implicated because of your mistake alone. Yun Chujio, if you don't kneel, don't blame us for treating you badly. The Leopard King felt that these people must have been mentally ill. The so-called Rune Spirit would never let them go. Since it had already trapped them, why would it let them go? Moreover, the one you were scolding is a little devil in disguise. Are you looking for trouble? The Yun siblings, Fengming, and the others were furious. Shut up. Has your conscience been eroded completely? Junior sister Little Joe risked her life to come here. And this is how you repay her. Moreover, since this rune spirit trapped us here, what reason would it have to let us go? The person who spoke first had a disdainful look on his face. Fengming, what you said sounded too nice. I don't believe that Yun Chujio is so kind-hearted. Maybe she came in for the spirit medicine. Doesn't everyone want to get out? If they want to, then force Yun Chujio to kneel and admit her mistake to the rune spirit. This is our only way. Nobody wants to be trapped here forever. Yun Chujio, quickly kneel and apologize. Or else we will kill you. At that moment, everyone had already lost their minds due to the despair and that person's words. After being provoked by him, they immediately shouted, That's right. That makes sense. Yun Chujio, quickly kneel and apologize. Or else we will attack you. When the Spirit Radiant sect members saw that the others wanted to attack Yun Chujio, they quickly drew their weapons, then put themselves between Yun Chujio and her would-be attackers. Chapter 864. A bunch of idiots. Anyone who protects Yun Chujio is going against the rune spirit. Get out of the way or we'll kill you all. That person continued to cause a commotion from behind the crowd. Yes. Get out of the way. If you don't want to die, then get out of the way. We must make Yun Chujo apologize to the rune spirit. We don't want to be trapped here forever. Yun Chujo, if you have a shred of conscience, then quickly stand up and apologize to the Lord Rune Spirit. Otherwise we won't hold back anymore. Yun Chujio's eyes darkened. These people were too stupid to be saved. However, the most detestable one was the person who started all this trouble. He was so scheming. Could it be that he had a grudge against her? Or was he someone from the godly devil hall? Yun Chujo thought of this and smiled slightly. Senior brother Fengming, stand aside. I have something to say to them. Fengming and the others were already used to Yun Chujio's plans. When they heard Yun Chujio's words, they immediately opened up a path. Yun Chujo slowly walked to the front of the crowd. I can apologize to the rune spirit. Brother, come over here. I have a few questions that I don't understand, so I want to ask you first. Yun Chujo shouted at the man behind the crowd who had instigated things. The man's eyes flickered a few times. Just as he hesitated, he heard Yun Chujo say mockingly, Aren't you the one who made the most noise? Why don't you even have the guts to confront me? Could it be that what you said just now was all for selfish reasons? The man said with a stern expression, What selfish reasons would I have? I'm only saying what was on everyone's minds. I'd like to see what other tricks you have up your sleeve. The man reluctantly walked to the front and looked at Yun Chujo with a guarded expression. What do you have to ask? It's better to quickly kneel and admit your mistake to the rune spirit. Yun Chujo sized him up. He was wearing the disciple uniform of the Heavenly Gates sect, so he should be one of their disciples. Yun Chujo smiled. It's fine to admit your mistake, but Yun Chujo suddenly jumped forward and hit the man's chest with her palm. Although the man was on guard, the difference in spiritual power between him and Yun Chujo was considerable. There was no way for him to dodge and he was hit directly. Yun Chujo did not intend to kill him, so she only used 30% of her strength. Even so, the man was still sent flying hundreds of feet away and spat out a mouthful of blood. Before he got up, Yun Chujo was already in front of him. The kitchen knife was pressed on his neck, and then she grabbed his chin. As expected, she found a hidden poison in the man's mouth. Oh, I wonder why this righteous person hid poison in your mouth? Could it be that you were ready to commit suicide at any time? As far as I know, only some shady organizations would let their subordinates hide poison in their mouths, right? Unfortunately, the organization that tried to harm us in the ancient sword tomb was one such organization. Don't tell me you're related to them? Yun Chujo asked with a cold smile. The man's eyes flickered. He defended himself. Yun Chujo, don't slander me. The reason why I hid the poison in my mouth was that I was afraid of encountering any danger. I wanted to commit suicide to preserve my dignity. Everyone, this Yun Chujo deliberately wanted to kill everyone here. Are you just going to watch her kill me? The onlookers immediately became agitated and started to clamor. Yun Chujo, quickly release him. Otherwise, we won't let you off easily. Yes, release him. Quickly apologize to the rune spirit. Yun Chujo shouted angrily, a bunch of idiots. All of you shut the fuck up, or else I'll kill him. When the crowd saw Yun Chujo cutting into the man's face bit by bit, they immediately felt a chill down their spines. Their clamoring voices gradually became softer and softer. Chapter 865. Dumber than pigs. Do you want to erase the spiritual sense on this by yourself, or do you want me to forcefully erase it for you? Yun Chujo held the man's storage ring and asked. Although the man was screaming in pain, he still said stubbornly, Yun Chujo, what right do you have to look into my storage ring? Everyone, are you going to let Yun Chujo behave so arrogantly? Don't you all want to get out? The onlookers were about to say something when they saw Yun Chujo chop off the man's right hand with a kitchen knife. The man screamed in pain. Everyone was stunned. They never thought that Yun Chujo would attack without a word. Yun Chujo ignored them and forcefully erased the man's spiritual sense that was left on the storage ring. The man's spiritual sense was in great pain and he fainted immediately. Yoon Chujio used her spiritual sense to scan the storage ring and found the jade token with the red spider lily engraved on it. She smiled coldly and pointed at a person. You. Come here, take out the jade token inside. Otherwise, you will accuse me of framing him. That person saw that Yoon Chujio was pointing at him with a bloody kitchen knife and did not dare disobey. He took the jade token out from the storage ring. When the crowd saw the red spider lily pattern on the back of the jade token, they were stunned. Now there was no need for further words. The pattern shown on the jade token was like a slap to their faces. They were all fooled by the fainted man. They could not even distinguish right from wrong. They had wronged Yoon Chujio. They were worse than pigs and dogs. Just when the crowd was about to apologize to Yoon Chujio, the man on the ground woke up. He said with grief and indignation, "Everyone, I found that jade medallion by accident. I haven't handed it over to the sect yet. This Yoon Chujio is very cunning. Don't be deceived by her." By accident? You are quite powerful. Then tell me, how did you get it by accident? Yoon Chujio said with a cold smile. I killed a black-clothed man wearing a mask and found it on his body. A man in black? What about the time and place? Why did you kill him? A month ago, I went to the Eupatorium Valley to harvest Eupatorium grass. After that man in black saw me, he attacked me without any explanation. Naturally, I couldn't sit still and wait for death. Thus we fought. I managed to kill him and found a jade token and a few bottles of pills on his body. I originally planned to hand it over to the sect, but when I heard the news of the opening of the Elixir Valley, I forgot about the matter. Everyone, I was wronged. Yoon Chujio is arrogant and despotic. She was preparing to beat a confession out of me. Previously, I was so kind-hearted and wanted to save everyone. Could it be that you all just watched Yoon Chujio torture me? The man said in grief and indignation. The onlookers were uncertain again. What the man said was not without reason. Moreover, there were disciples of the Heaven's Gate sect who testified that the man had indeed been to the Eupatorium Valley a few days ago. Yoon Chujio, what he said is also reasonable. How can you prove that this jade token is his? If he picked it up, not only did you cut off his right hand, but you also damaged his spiritual sense. What do you have to say about that? That's right. You can't convict him just from that jade token, right? Senior brother Lu has always been well behaved in our Heaven's Gate sect. How could he be a member of the Red Spider Lily faction? Yoon Chujio, are you trying to justify yourself by beating him into submission? Yoon Chujio recalled a classic saying at this moment. Men are not afraid of godlike enemies but incompetent allies. These people were dumber than pigs. Chapter 866. Sharpening the knife, you're not one of them? Yoon Chujio looked at the man with a faint smile. Of course I'm not. As a disciple of the Heavenly Gate sect, why would I join those godly Devil Hall scoundrels? The man replied with a face full of grief and indignation. Since you're not a member of the godly Devil Hall, go ahead and declare the master of that sect a bastard. The corners of Yoon Chujio's mouth curled up as she looked at the man with a mocking expression. The man had never expected Yoon Chujio to make such a request. Fuck, how could a normal person make such a request? She was the devil incarnate. The man had sworn to be loyal to the master. If he insulted the master, he would definitely be breaking his oath. The man's eyes flickered and he tried his best to think of a way out of his predicament. A few disciples from the Heavenly Gate sect who testified that the man had been to the Eupatorium Valley shouted, Senior brother Lu, if Yoon Chujio wants you to scold the master, just do it. What's the big deal? We don't need to hold back when insulting the godly Devil Hall. What's so difficult about doing that? That's right, what's so difficult about that? The fact that you're in such a difficult position can only mean one thing. You're a member of the godly Devil Hall. Yoon Chujio looked at the man with a burning gaze, thinking that even the noisy ones could sometimes be useful. The man was now in a dilemma. He definitely could not insult the master. He would be damned if he insulted the master and still damned if he did not. What should he do? The man was so anxious that he could not think straight. He could only say dryly, humph. How can a gentleman insult others? Moreover, your words are too vulgar. Yun Chujo sneered, insult others? Vulgar? Being merciful to the enemy is being cruel to yourself. You don't have to keep up the act anymore. In fact, you have already exposed yourself. It doesn't matter whether you do it or not. The man showed a trace of panic. You're spewing nonsense. You are the one who slandered me. I have never said the words godly devil hall. How did you know I was referring to them? You just admitted it. You have a jade token engraved with the red spider lily with you. You knew the name of the force behind the spider lilies, and you dare not to insult the lord of the godly devil hall. What else do you have to say for yourself? Everyone, don't you understand? He deliberately instigated things so everyone would target me and would start killing each other. Think carefully. Which of his words did not involve instigation or the stirring up of trouble? He did this because he wants to keep us in here so that we fall prey to the schemes of the godly devil hall. Yun Chujo said with a sneer. Although the onlookers were stupid, they were not stupid. The evidence was so clear. If they still didn't believe it, then there was something wrong with their brains. Their faces were full of shame. They wished that they could find a hole to hide in. They quickly directed their shame on the man by hurling insults at him. Luli, you heartless thing. We trusted you so much. You actually joined the godly devil hall, you shameless scum. You're a backstabber and traitor. People like you should be cut into pieces. No wonder you provoked us to go against Yun Chujo. It turns out that you had evil intentions. Yun Chujo chopping off your right hand was the right move. Not to mention your right hand, she should have taken your life. Yun Chujo found things to be funny in her heart. The people's standpoint had changed so quickly. There were also benefits to being stupid. It was easy to fool them. Yun Chujo looked at the half-dead man on the ground. Tell me, how do you want to deal with us? If you are not honest, I will do as they say and chop off your left hand and both your legs. Yun Chujo took out a whetstone as she spoke. She held out the large kitchen knife and started menacingly sharpening it. Chapter 867. You owe me. The man's heart trembled at the sound of Yun Chujo sharpening her knife. He was on the verge of breaking down from the torture. Ill talk. Ill talk. I beg you, stop sharpening that knife. Finally, the man could not stand it anymore. Only then did Yun Chujo stop. If you want to talk, just say whatever you have to say. If you don't, I'll continue sharpening. I'm just following orders. I don't know much either, but the higher-ups once said that you're our #1 enemy. That would kill you without mercy. So I just wanted to sow discord. If I can get you killed as a result, it'd be a great achievement. Yun Chujo could not help but laugh. #1 enemy? She did not expect that she would be so highly regarded in the godly devil hall. However, it made sense. Her training trips out to train had always resulted in her inadvertently spoiling their plans. Even a lightning bolt could destroy their evil formation. It would be strange if they did not hate her. Tell me everything you know. Did you tamper with the Elixir Valley formation? How are you going to deal with us in the end? Yun Chujo pointed the kitchen knife at the man's left hand. The man quickly answered. The formation was tampered with by the higher-ups. It is said that in another month, this place would sink into the ground again. At that time, you'd all be trapped here forever. What about you? How will you escape at the last moment? You won't be trapped here with us, right? The higher-ups said that they'd get me out at the last moment. Yun Chujo sneered. You are really naive. You are not Goldface's messenger, are you? You don't know how to use the secret technique of the red spider lily, do you? How can they get you out? They are obviously just using you, you idiot. Are there people doing the same at the East Elixir Valley? The man was completely caught off guard by Yun Chujo's words. He was stunned for a while before he said, I don't know. Impossible. That's impossible. The higher-ups would not lie to me. The Lord will not be so heartless. I still want to ascend. Ha ha ha. You are lying. The Lord is a God. And the Lord is omnipotent. He will be able to save me. You idiots, all of you will die. Only I will survive in the end. The Lord will save me. He will save me. The man's spiritual sense had already been damaged when Yoon Chujo wiped the spiritual sense from his storage ring. Now, under the huge psychological, he had gone crazy. Yoon Chujo deliberately looked at the man's pupils. He was absent-minded and did not seem to be faking it. His willpower was too poor, right? He went crazy just from that? However, fortunately, she did not have anything further to ask. If he went crazy, then so be it. Come here. This person is from your Heavenly Gate sect. You can deal with him yourself. Yoon Chujo pointed at the Heavenly Gate sect disciple, who had testified to going to the Eupatorium Valley just now. That disciple was so regretful that his intestines turned green. He wished he could give himself 2 slaps and place a sign on his forehead saying gullible. Call him Mr. Gullible. There was no need for him to say anything. This time they could count on him to do this simple task. That disciple walked in front of the man and hit the back of the man's neck with his palm. Then, like dragging a dead dog, he dragged the man to the center of the Heaven Sect's disciples. Everyone looked at each other and asked Yoon Chujo shamelessly, Yoon Fairy Yoon, we were fooled by that bastard previously. We are sorry. Please accept our apologies. Yoon Chujo laughed coldly in her heart. She was arrogant but respectful. Such a person was not welcomed by others. However, she had a dignified expression on her face. Everyone, there is no need to be so polite. It was all instigated by that villain. You were also fooled by him. Fairy Yoon is indeed magnanimous. One look and you can tell that she is a person who has achieved great things. Fairy Yoon, what do you think we should do now? Is there nothing to do but wait here for death? Chapter 868. I don't want to run around naked. You can only leave if you find the edge of the enchantment barrier. I tried to provoke the rune spirit just now to release a cloud to come after me. When it strikes me, you guys can split up and look for the place where the spirit power fluctuations are abnormal. From there you can confirm the location of the barrier. Unfortunately, the rune spirit here is quite cunning. Due to the scene that man created just now, I'm afraid the lightning cloud will not show itself now. Yoon Chujo sighed as she said with great regret. Hearing this, everyone felt ashamed and annoyed. They wished they could cut Luli into 1,000 pieces to vent their anger. Fairy Yoon, is there no other way? This place is so big. If the array formation doesn't show any spirit fluctuations, we won't be able to find the enchantment at all. Didn't you guys search for a long time in vain? Sigh. It's now down to time, luck, and fate. I don't have any other good ideas now. Yoon Chujo said with a frown. At that moment, everyone's intestines were green with regret. If they could turn back time, they definitely would not fall for Luli's instigating words. It was over. They would be stuck here forever. They had shattered their hopes of getting out with their own hands. Yoon Chujo saw everyone's regretful look and felt a tinge of satisfaction. They deserved it. What were they thinking when they scolded her just now? What were they thinking when they forced her to kneel to the rune spirit? What were they thinking when they acted dumb and looked down on her? Yoon Chujo saw the Leopard King who had already sneaked 100 feet away. She sneered and said, Little Bun, where are you going? Why aren't you coming over? I'm tired. The Leopard King ran over without a complaint in his mind and continued to act as a chair for her. Yoon Chujo sat on the Leopard King with a frown on her face. Although she said that she wanted to take revenge on those idiots, she was telling the truth. Now that the rune spirit was on guard, it would be very difficult to provoke it into action. How could she find the barrier? Yoon Chujo thought for a long time but could not come up with any good ideas. She could only try her best. She placed her hands on her hips and started cursing at the rune spirit again. She went on until her mouth and her tongue were dry, yet there was no response at all. Yoon Chujo could only continue to sit on the Leopard King in frustration. When everyone saw that it was as Yoon Chujo said, they became even more desperate. The turbulent regret they felt in their hearts could be described as quaking mountains and churning seas. If it wasn't for the fact that Luli still had the value to be interrogated, they would have torn him apart long ago. Yoon Chujo frowned. With time, they would be able to eventually find the enchantment barrier. However, time was a luxury they did not have. Luli said that the enchantment would sink into the ground after some time had passed. Perhaps the people above him had fooled him. This elixir valley was very likely to be like the ancient sword tomb. After some time it would self-destruct. Yun Chujo was so frustrated that she casually began to pull at the Leopard King's fur. She pulled out tuft after tuft, much to the Leopard King's discomfort. The Leopard King was so depressed that it wanted to hit its head against a wall. What kind of sin had he committed? Why did he have to meet such a little devil? He did not want to end up naked. If he became bald, he would not be able to survive in the beast world in the future. The Leopard King did not dare to resist, so it secretly moved backward. Yun Chujo did not notice, and a moment later, when she leaned back, she fell on her back. Yun Chujo originally couldn't think of a way, so she was very annoyed. Now she blamed it on the Leopard King. Damn! Little bun, are you trying to escape again? Get over here. The Leopard King was like a wronged wife. It moved to Yun Chujia's side and then pointed at a piece of leopard fur on the ground with its claws. Yun Chujo then realized that she was grabbing the Leopard King's fur. She thought it was wild grass. She coughed dryly. Cough, cough. If the old doesn't make way for the new, things will never change. Besides, I didn't pull out that much. Chapter 869. Am not a stupid deer. The Leopard King looked at the tufts of leopard fur on the ground and trembled with anger. Little devil, is it really okay for you to lie like this? Yun Chujo glanced at the Leopard King's bare skin and touched her nose guiltily. She took out the corpses of several giant ice wolves from her storage ring. I'll let you have a taste of this. It wasn't easy for me to get these. After the Leopard King finished eating the meat, its attitude immediately changed from one of hostility to being obedient. Damn! This wolf meat was much better than the wolf meat in the Elixir Valley. Although this little devil crossed the line sometimes, she was still quite generous. What she said made sense. If the old didn't make way for the new, then he would never know if a stronger coat of fur would grow. When everyone saw the majestic 8th level ironhide leopard being obsequious like a puppy, they felt embarrassed on its behalf. Yun Chujo looked at the fawning Leopard King and an idea flashed through her mind. Yun Chujo patted the Leopard King's big head and sighed. Sigh. Little bun, it's fate that we met. I can't bear for you to be kept in the dark. This Elixir Valley will self-destruct in another month. I'm afraid all of you will die just like us. Fairy Yun, didn't Luli say that this Elixir Valley will only sink underground? Someone asked in surprise. Yun Chujo was about to cry from the stupidity of these onlookers. Damn it, are all these sect members so gullible? I'm afraid that the godly devil Hall is trying to fool Luli. Why would they only trap us after spending so much effort? If we refer to the situation in the ancient sword tomb, this place will surely be destroyed. Thinking back to that time in the ancient sword tomb, after the self-destruction array formation was activated, the sky was constantly struck by lightning. What was even more terrifying was that the ground cracked and there was raging fire below. When everyone heard Yun Chujia's words, their faces paled with fear. If that happened, does that mean they would all be dead? Sigh. When that time comes, it won't be just us, but the demonic beasts and spiritual herbs will also wiped out. It's a disaster. Yun Chujo let out a long sigh. The Leopard King had been thinking of a way to escape and had not paid attention to what Luli said. Now that it heard Yun Chujia's words, it was also afraid. Little bun, you are much stronger than us. No matter what, you have lived for hundreds of years, right? That's long enough, right? Yun Chujo blinked her eyes and said. The Leopard King wanted to maul her to death. What the fuck did she mean that it was worth it? Who the fuck would want to die so pointlessly? Fairy Yun, is there no way? The only way is to find a place with abnormal spiritual energy fluctuations. That place is very likely to be where the enchantment barrier is at. At that time we can work together to break the enchantment and have a chance to survive. Otherwise, what awaits us is death. Yun Chujo said resolutely. Fairy Yun, we have been looking for a long time, but we haven't found the enchantment. Do you have any other ideas? Everyone placed their hopes on Yun Chujo. Yun Chujo glanced at the Leopard King. The Leopard King could not help but tremble. What was she looking at me for? I do not know where the enchantment is. Why was the little devil looking at me? Little bun, you don't want to die, do you? The leopard king rolled its eyes. It was not a simple stupid deer. Of course it did not want to die. Now we can only survive if we work together. How about we make a deal? Yun Chujo said with a smile. Chapter 870. Fermented doubt. The leopard king looked at Yun Chujia's smile. No matter how he looked at it, it looked like a smile filled with nothing but malice. He did not know what kind of evil schemes this little devil was up to. Little bun, you have lived in this elixir valley for hundreds of years, maybe even thousands of years. Have you never noticed any abnormal spiritual energy fluctuations? Even if you haven't noticed it, it's still not too late to try now. Help me coerce those high-level demon beasts to help look for the abnormal spiritual energy fluctuations. As a reward, after we break through the enchantment, we bring all of you along and resettle you in another valley. How about it? Will you for death here? Or do you want to make an easy deal with me? Yun Chujo smiled like a sly fox. The leopard king rolled its big eyes, as it considered the authenticity of Yun Chujia's words. Yun Chujo did not force it. She believed that the leopard king would agree. The intelligence of a level 8 demonic beast was already quite high, so it surely knew how to make the smarter choice. Sure enough, the leopard king howled at Yun Chujo twice and then nodded its huge head. I knew you weren't stupid, then hurry up and go. I'll wait for your good news here. Yun Chujo waved her hands, indicating that the leopard king could leave. The leopard king led its underlings and disappeared from everyone's sight with a few swooshes. Some people said, Fairy Yun, is that leopard king lying to you? Maybe it took the opportunity to escape. Yeah, how can a demonic beast cooperate with us humans? It will not come back. Fairy Yun, you've ruined the leopard king's fur so badly. It would be a miracle if it came back. Yun Chujo looked at them indifferently. Let's just do what we can. Since you're so energetic, help me curse the rune spirit. When it sends out the lightning cloud after us, it'll soak up the lightning it for you. Some people are only good at using their mouths but not much else. Everyone keep an eye on each other. I want to see if anyone else is taking advantage of the situation. Could there be another spy from the godly devil hall among us? When everyone heard this, their hearts were on the verge of breaking down. She was going to take the blame for them? Those Wu Yun did have eyes, so why would it only target her? Every injustice has a debtor. If they were the ones who cursed, it would target them. However, they could not disagree to the plan. Otherwise, it would be bad if they were labeled as spies from the godly devil hall. It was all the fault of those talkative people. What nonsense are you spouting? It's none of your business if the leopard king doesn't come back? Fuck, he's just a coward then. Everyone was afraid of being suspected, so they all tried their best to curse the rune spirit. Unfortunately, it had no effect at all. Yun Chujo thought to herself that either the rune spirit had a problem with its ears, or it had a very strong mental endurance. Could endure being scolded like that. It had really strong willpower. 3 days passed, but there was still no news from the leopard king. Everyone was discouraged. It seemed that beasts were indeed just beasts after all. They had no integrity at all. They must have used that excuse to escape. Some people still had hope for Yun Chujo in the beginning, but they started doubting her when they saw that all her ideas had not worked. What was cursing the rune spirit going to do? Trading with demonic beasts? They were all absurd. Soon after, rumors began to ferment. This Yun Chujo is rumored to be amazing. It was said that she saved everyone by herself at the ancient sword tomb. I think it's all an exaggeration. Yeah, for so long, other than cursing Zhenlei and trusting the leopard king, I haven't seen any real ability from her. She even played with the iron-hide leopard. In the end, she was tricked by it. Exactly, pigs would fly if the leopard came back. If it does return, I will eat the dirt on the ground. Chapter 871. The return of the leopard king. At that point, Yun Chujo was already immune to gossip. On the contrary, the Yun siblings, Feng Ming, and the others who stood up for her had almost fought with those people. Damn it! What a bunch of ingrates. Junior sister little Jiao, don't take it to heart. That leopard will definitely come back. Feng Ming comforted her. Yun Chujiu smiled indifferently. Senior brother Feng Ming, when have I ever cared about these things? I know the Leopard King will come back. It's just that I don't know whether it will bring good or bad news with it. When those people heard Yun Chujiu's words, they all curled their lips. This Yun Chujiu was so blindly confident in herself. Let's see how you react to a slap in the face when the time comes. It has already been 3 days. If that Leopard King was coming back, it would have done so long ago. Right at that moment they heard someone exclaim, "Why is the ground shaking? Could it be that the array formation has begun to destroy the Elixir Valley?" Everyone also noticed that the ground shook and immediately panicked. Every one of them was like headless flies. Yun Chujiu frowned. It was still too soon. The array formation should not self-destruct yet. What on earth was going on? She looked into the distance and saw a cloud of dust. She could faintly hear the roars of beasts from that direction. She was delighted. It should be the Leopard King should have returned, but why was the ground shaking? After a moment, Yun Chujiu finally discovered the reason. Thousands of high-level demonic beasts were sprinting toward them, while following the Leopard King's lead. When everyone saw that the valley was not going to self-destruct yet, they calmed down a little. However, so many demonic beasts were approaching. If this horde of beasts attacked them, they would not stand a chance. Did Yun Chujiu just doom them all? A moment later, the beast horde stopped in front of everyone. Yun Chujiu made her way to the front to greet the Leopard King. "Little Bun, I didn't expect you to be so good at doing things. What do you mean by bringing so many beasts here? Have you found the place where the spiritual energy fluctuates abnormally?" The Leopard King nodded proudly and called out a few times. It was doing nothing more than just showing off at that point. "Little Bun, lead the way. I will keep my promise. After we break through the barrier, I will bring all of you out with us." Yun Chujiu saw the Leopard King nod its head and was delighted. As long as they found the barrier, their freedom would be guaranteed. The Leopard King nodded its head and let out a few roars at the beast horde. Then it made a few gestures with its claws. Dozens of beast kings of different species also responded with roars of their own. They did not share the same language, so it was not easy to communicate with them. Fortunately, they could still figure out what the Leopard King was trying to tell them. The beast horde turned around and led the way toward their destination. Yun Chujiu followed the horde closely from behind. The Yun siblings, Feng Ming, and the people from the Spirit Radiant sect followed her without any hesitation. The rest of the people hesitated for a moment. Was this a good idea? However, there were no other ideas at the moment. It was the only choice in front of them. Therefore, after they hesitated for a moment, those people also followed. Everyone followed the beast horde for a full day. Some people were still suspicious. Could it be that these demonic beasts were leading them into a trap? Why had they not arrived yet, even after such a long time? Although they were suspicious, they did not dare to leave the group. They might still have a chance of survival if they followed Yun Chujiu. Otherwise, they could only wait for death. Fortunately, the next morning the beast horde stopped moving. The Leopard King ran to a small mound and then pushed out one of its paws. Everyone saw that the paw was blocked. Everyone immediately cheered. "A barrier. It must be a barrier. We are saved. We are going to get out." Chapter 872. A smile to bury the hatchet. Fairy Yun is really clever. She thought of such a good idea. It's really admirable. Yes, only a genius like Fairy Yun would come up with such a brilliant idea. If it weren't for Fairy Yun, we would have been trapped here and died already. A genius is a genius. How can ordinary people like us compare to her? Fairy Yun is the person I admire the most in my life. Yun Chuki really couldn't bear to see these people taking advantage of the situation. She snorted coldly and said, "Back then, who was it that said that little Jiao was only here to pick spirit herbs? Who forced little Jiao to kneel to the rune spirit? Who said that little Jiao's ideas were all bad ideas? There's a limit to how shameless a person can be. I remember someone saying that if the Leopard King returns, he will eat dirt. Isn't it time to fulfill his promise? Everyone's faces turned green and white. People generally wanted their reputations intact and unsullied after all. After being scolded by Yoon Chuk-hee, everyone felt a little embarrassed, especially the man who offered to eat dirt. He wished he could find a hole to hide in. After Yoon Chuk-hee said that, she gave Yoon Choo-jo a look. Yoon Choo-jo nodded her head indiscernibly. She thought to herself, the brothers and sisters of the Yoon family are all honest. Only seventh sister is this clever. She wants me to use this opportunity to win people's hearts. Everyone, my seventh sister is straightforward and has doted on me since I was young. Don't mind it, she sounded too harsh. Yoon Choo-jo said lightly. The corner of the Yoon siblings' eyes twitched. Doted on you since you were young? Little Joe, is it really good for you to lie so openly? Those people were eager to get out of the awkward situation they were in. They immediately fell into her trap and laughed. Fairy Yoon, what Miss Chuk-hee said makes sense. We were blinded by frustration and said some unnecessary things. We're really sorry. Yes, Fairy Yoon, we are inexperienced. I didn't expect you to be so powerful. You actually managed to convince the Leopard King. We have wronged you. Exactly that. Fairy Yoon, if you don't vent your anger on us, I will really eat dirt. The man who said that he would eat dirt had his face turned red as he stammered. Yoon Choo-jo smiled lightly. Everyone, don't be so serious. It's just some words. I won't take it to heart. As the saying goes, a smile is enough to bury the hatchet. Let bygones be bygones. Right now, the most important thing is for us to work together to break the barrier. Everyone, stay where you are and rest. Wait for me to test the strength of this barrier before we discuss what to do. The crowd did not expect Yoon Choo-jo to be so magnanimous. They felt even more ashamed and expressed that they would repay her in the future. Yoon Choo-jo sneered in her heart. Repay. It was already good enough they did not stab her in the back. Some people's hearts could not be warmed no matter how hard they tried. However, there were only a few villains who acted according to the wind. From then on, most people treated Yoon Choo-jo as their savior. Yoon Choo-jo waved her hand at the Leopard King. Little Bun, get out of the way. Let me try something. The Leopard King ran to the front of the herd and thought to himself that it would be good to let them see the little devil's strength. Otherwise, they would think that he was a coward that did not dare to fight back after being reduced to such a sorry state. They would know once they saw her capabilities. Fight back. What a joke. If he fought back, he would not only be a leopard but a completely hairless leopard. Yoon Choo-jo waved her right hand, and a bolt of heavenly purple lightning struck the barrier. Then she waved her left hand, and another bolt of heavenly purple lightning struck at the barrier. Then another and another. Everyone was stunned. Chapter 873. The True Appearance of the Little Fiend Dam. Was this Yoon Choo-jo human? How was this a 5th-level spirit cultivator's spiritual power? It was more like a 5th-level spirit emperor realm practitioner. Moreover, why could she attack without forming a seal and without pausing between attacks? Wasn't this too outrageous for a normal human? Everyone, especially those who had once spoken ill of Yoon Choo-jo, felt a chill run down their spines. Damn, it was fortunate that Yoon Choo-jo did not bother punishing them, or else they would have been turned into ash by her lightning bolts. Those demonic beasts were even more shocked. They had originally thought that the Leopard King was too cowardly. After getting that embarrassing haircut from her lightning strikes, it helped that little devil run errands. Now that they saw it in action, it was a very wise choice, otherwise its life would definitely be lost. Yoon Choo-jo continuously threw lightning bolts for 2 hours. Everyone and the other beasts were so shocked that their tongues were sticking out. Oh God, how could this little devil have so much spiritual energy reserves? Could it be that her spiritual energy was inexhaustible? It was too terrifying. They must not offend her in the future, or else they would definitely end up 6 feet under. Yoon Choo-jo felt that the time was almost right to halt her performance, so she stopped attacking. When she turned around, she saw that everyone was in a daze, as if they had seen a ghost. What's wrong? Did something happen? Yun Chujo asked the crowd in feigned confusion. The crowd shook their heads and smiled nervously. They were extremely obedient, afraid that they would be struck by Yun Chujo if they said the wrong thing. Yun Chujo could not help but laugh. It seemed that all doubts had been erased with a simple show of strength. If she had known that this would shut them up, she would have struck them a few times. I have already tested the strength of this barrier. I estimate that we will have to take turns to attack it for 3 days and 3 nights before we have a chance to break through it. Now we will divide into groups and attack according to our assigned schedules. There cannot be any pause in the attack or all the previous efforts will be wasted. If anyone gets lazy or careless during this period, don't blame me for accidentally hitting them with my lightning. Yun Chujia's smile changed from one of kindness to one filled with killing intent. The beast horde could not help but tremble in their hearts. This was the true appearance of a little fiend. They should just tuck their tails between their legs and obey her every command. They absolutely could not offend this little fiend. After Yun Chujo had divided everyone into groups, they began to take turns attacking the barrier. In an instant, light flashed and all kinds of spiritual power attacks were launched towards the barrier. The hidden rune spirit cried out in alarm. If this continued, wouldn't all these people and beasts escape? It had to stop them. Everyone noticed that the sky was getting darker, and they could not help but look up. They saw a large patch of dark clouds starting to gather. Was it going to rain? Or was it going to rain lightning bolts? Yun Chujo frowned. This rune spirit was quite cunning. Was it going to stop them from attacking the barrier? She had to think of a way to let it focus on her alone. These people would not be able to withstand a lightning strike. A lightning bolt from the Wu Yun here might leave them half dead. Hey, you little weakling Wu Yun, are you finally making an appearance? You coward! Do you dare to strike me? Yun Chujo took out a handkerchief to wrap up her hair, then pointed at the dark clouds in the sky and provoked the gathering Wu Yun. The Wu Yun was unable to contain its anger. Previously, it did not strike you because it was afraid of expending spirit stones. Since you were looking for death, then it would target you first. After that, it would take care of the rest. Boom! A bolt of purple lightning struck towards Yun Chujo. As soon as Yun Chujo cursed the Wu Yun that had appeared, everyone and the beasts put some distance between them and Yun Chujo. That was a bolt of lightning from an array formation's Wu Yun. They did not want to be caught in the crossfire and turned into ash. You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.